Hello, everybody. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, to Bevvies with the Boys. It's season 2. We are back.
Welcome,
and I've got looping audio because I've got the Twitch stream on my other monitor. Great way to start off the new season. As you can tell, we're joined by the LPL gang. I'm Munchables. This is Dagda. We're the boys, and we're joined by 4 other boys. It's the LPL boys. I don't even know how to start this conversation with 6 people. This is going to get messy. I promise you that. But hey, everyone, how are you all doing? How was off season? I guess we'll go round in a circle because that's the only way to maintain this. So, Jordan, do you want to go first? How's your off season? What are you drinking, mate?
My off season is going, I'll say mixed, because obviously Hysterics is like 10 corgi footsteps away from me.
Yes.
But
that's very close.
Else, exactly.
Yeah. It's like 20.
Actually,
He's
if
lying.
I talk loud enough, maybe you can hear me in his setup.
I've shut the door because you're a noisy Nancy, Nary, whatever her name is.
But I'm keeping it simple. Just drinking a normal Heineken, showing my respect to actually, I'm going to stop right there. Yeah, I'm drinking Heineken. Keep going.
All right, copy that. Clement, do you want to go next? How is your off season? Welcome back to the world of the LPL. How you doing, mate?
It's good to be back. Today I'm drinking boba milk tea. We can walk outside in Taipei. There's no lockdown, and the weather is actually pretty decent. It stopped raining for a while.
Wow,
Love
way to
to be
rub
here.
it in our faces.
Yes.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks.
Straight up bragging. All right, Dagda, you're up, mate.
All right, so I've been watching 100 Thieves videos a little bit, and I've noticed that Smirnoff has sponsored them. So I have very shamelessly picked up a bottle of Smirnoff to bring onto the show to say, look, I am totally fine drinking a lot of Smirnoff if they want to get involved. Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna be on the Smirnoff today, and I'll be keeping that going for the show. And yeah, my off season's been pretty good. Got a bit of Damacy Cup in, which was a lot of fun. I know everyone here was involved in it, and just looking forward to seeing the show kick off tomorrow.
Absolutely. And just quickly, if any alcohol brands are listening, we're more than willing to shill. We have no souls already, so just throw money at us.
Yeah.
We'd love it.
Budweiser, Bud Light, we're around,
Yeah.
we're all dead.
Jakey boy, how you doing, mate? How is your off season? What are you drinking?
Just chilling, killing, sometimes feeling. I don't know. It's been what an emotional 2 months of being human. 2020's good to be gone. But it's now. So we're okay. I'm. There's a really cool deal in Taiwan. There's this place, also another sponsor for you, called Easy Buy, and what it sells is, it does alcohol to you within an hour. And I found 2 bottles of really good Suntory 80 proof whiskey for like 40 Australian, so like 25, 27 US. And I've been going through them slowly, so I'm going to continue my progress, and I'm going to have some more Suntory with a bit of lemonade, maybe, clean for the first, maybe the second or third when I can't taste it as much anymore. But yeah, just a nice whiskey to celebrate kind of the return of everything good and holy coming back,
How many have you had so far?
Don't worry, this is just my personality as is. I've got issues.
Slurring your words, Jake?
Can you step out of the vehicle?
Naturally. When I drink, I become clean. So honestly, this will be better.
Grabbing the hoodie.
Yeah.
All right, Penguin, you're up. How's the off season been? What are you drinking?
Off season's been cool. I've done Damacy Cup, which was fun. I'm a sober Steven, so I don't drink anymore. So that's unfortunate, but I am drinking some soup. So soup is my drink of the day. As such, that will be my bevy for the night.
I think that's been rendered down. Maybe it has some white wine in it.
Maybe
so
if it's high quality.
You definitely win the award for the most abstract interpretation of the word bevy on the show so far. So congratulations on that one.
Can you order a soup from a Weatherspoons? Yes or no? That's all I'm gonna say. Like, you can.
Well, this is
I've
gonna
got my
food. I don't know what that's.
Next show, Oshin comes out with a steak and is like, "This is my bevy."
I'm now a JDG stan.
All right. Well, I think people on my Twitch channel already know what I've been up to, but I'm going to be on the gin and tonic tonight. I've even got the gin and tonic glass and everything. I've got cucumber in it because it's Hendrix, and if you're going to drink Hendrix, you've got to have cucumber. And then I've got
Boy.
Sainsbury's own tonic water, so that's less exciting. But yeah, I've been good. Demacia Cup, NEST, all of that good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about LPL, because actually before we kicked off, and I went and checked and I got permission for this, since LPL kicks off tomorrow, I'm going to officially announce we are going to be casting the LPL, and we're going to be casting 7 days a week for the first time ever. The LPL is going to be broadcasting, well, not 24/7, but like 6/7, something like that.
24/7,
About 6 hours, 7 days.
6, 7, yeah.
From the time you
Yeah.
end your series to the time you got to prep for your next, you are 24/7.
Exactly.
I'm so glad I was talking about. I wanted to allude to this before or when I was streaming, and I'm like, I don't know if I can say that yet, but I'm glad you're the one
Yeah.
that dropped the bomb because it's sick. We've never done this.
I messaged them earlier and basically said, look, it starts tomorrow. They're going to find out that we're on tomorrow. Can we, what's the difference if we say it today?
No, you were supposed to keep it a secret. You're supposed to surprise them on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Remember back in spring of last year where we were on the show and we still hadn't been announced? I was like, guess where we are? Nobody knows.
Oh, yeah. We're in Shanghai, but we're not saying we're doing LPL. We're just here around the right time.
Just a couple of English casters having fun in Shanghai. Yeah.
All right. So since we've got the whole LPL crew here, we're ready to rock and roll. Let's talk a little bit about LPL. Now, for anyone just joining us, the idea of this show is going to be to talk through power rankings a little bit, and kind of just meander through that conversation of who we think is going to be really good, who we think is going to be really bad, and how we think that's going to go over the course of the season, and probably argue with each other on the results of that. So I don't know if all of you guys did all 17 teams, or does everyone have a full 17 team ranking, or just some of you guys do top 8?
Yeah.
Okay, so I say then, if we all have 17 teams, I say we start at the bottom because that's the least interesting bit, and then we ramp it up across the episode and talk about the top later. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
That's good, but
Aye,
I just want to
Captain.
break in this conversation because, I think all of us are going to have the same 4 teams at the bottom. Like there's 13 good teams that can make playoffs, and there's 4 teams that I don't think anyone touches. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put mine out there. I'm pretty sure everyone has the same ones: OMG, Rogue Warriors, E-Stars, and TT. I think those are your bottom 4.
That's
right
why
off
he's
the bat.
just wrong. This is why we shouldn't have let Clement start. I'm sorry, Clement.
What the hell? All right, you give me
What do you
yours.
mean the
give me
same
yours.
4 teams at the
Wait,
bottom?
Clement,
You're significantly
I think
overrating
everyone's gonna have
LGD
those.
right now.
No,
Yeah.
see, I already see the problem. I see Clement's list, and Clement is missing.
Oh, he's left them out.
You are missing LGD on your list because
You have rare ass
Oh,
in twice on
shit.
your list.
That is true. Oh my god. Okay, I just want to say the bottom one is LGD.
yeah,
Fourth
Okay,
place
yeah.
is LGD.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Now we're on track.
Okay.
All right, so let's do bottom 4 then, since that seems to be where this conversation has started. Mine is very similar. I've got 17th is TT, then E-Star, then OMG, and then LGD is my bottom 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have the same 4, but in different order. I actually expect TT to be pretty good. I like the roster a lot. I think LGD to me is clear last place, which I mean, you look at the roster with how many new people they have on it, right? It's kind of expected to happen. And OMG and E-Star also just kind of filling in for me 15, 16. But right, any of these 4 teams can be anywhere. But I actually think LGD are pretty much locked into the last place.
I agree.
That
It's
is-
sad, dude. I was so hyped on this roster. They exploded it, and I've already said before the fact that LGD is 17th for me just kind of breaks my heart a little bit. There's
Yeah.
no way to go higher than 17th or 16th.
I remember you posted memes about LGD headbands the other day. I was like, huh, I don't know about that one.
Spirit, just not publicly as supportive as I was, I guess.
It's even worse because they don't even get Kramer for the start.
I know.
Kramer's only on
Yeah.
a flight over now, so I think he misses the first 3 games of the split
It's
as well.
Garvey, their
Yeah.
top laner, playing
Oh, no.
as bot lane,
Yeah.
same as Demacia Cup. Yeah, I
It
agree
ain't
with
looking
you
hot.
guys. I got LGD last, pretty significantly last.
Yeah.
I'll put it down. I'll put it down right now. I'll be surprised if they take a series. I see a 0-16 season.
I don't, for the reason
no,
that the bottom 4 is so close, and I actually do think Uniboy is good. I think Uniboy will be the one standout on this roster. Obviously, we all saw him at Worlds filling in for Talons in the playing stage,
Mhm.
so He's really hyped. He's been really good in LMS PCS for a few years now. Guy plays everything, assassins, mages. So I think he'll be good. But the other four, maybe Garvey when he goes back to top right. I think a lot of us were hyped for Garvey coming into last year, hoping he'd get to play. And in 2019, Clement and Jake, I'm sure you guys had a lot of hype. Oh, even Penguin, you were there towards the end as well. Garvey, this like pumped up top laner. So I think there's pieces where, maybe they beat OMG, E-Star, TT, even Rogue Warriors or LNG on a bad day, right? So I don't think this team will be, V5 level amazing and, break some records, but, they're not going to be good.
I just want to say that I think some of you guys are fucking talking out your asses, man. There's no way LGD is bottom, okay? I just want to point this out.
Clement,
seriously, holy shit.
How are they not bottom?
Okay, let me explain. Okay, let me explain, please. LGD in the LDL was actually a 4th place team, and the team they lost to was IG Young. Every single member of IG Young is now a starter in the LPL. They did not lose to some random scrubs out of the LDL. So the idea that they're gonna be capitulate and be like complete garbage to me is, I think it's like overshooting the bar a little bit. Like if you look at their actual record and what they've actually done, I don't think they're actually going to be that bad. The members that they're replacing in, and sometimes this is comparative, but in general, teams that do well in the LDL, they only lost to the champions. That means that they're not actually that bad for me. So I don't.
We've seen these people in LPL.
I want to know from Clement, who is his worst team then? Who is 17th?
TT.
I put TT there.
Yeah, I'm the same as Clement. I'm kind of splitting the mark between you guys. I have LGD at 15. So mine is TT, E-Star, LGD, and apparently I'm a little bit of a different guy here. I have LNG at 14th. I have absolutely zero faith in the jungle mid for LNG. Like, I just don't think it's going to work. Icon and Tarzan just don't do it for me. I don't think they're going to do particularly well, and I think the rest of the team is going to follow as a result.
I have zero faith in Icon on any team. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm over Icon
in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I agree. On OMG, the dynamic, wasn't really there. Just to reiterate, so I have it out there, LGD, E-Star, OMG are my bottom 3 as well. And then I see this like small little pinch up for TT and LNG, but it's pretty much the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I like TT's roster quite a bit. Like, I don't expect them to do well in the spring, but I think Captain's good. I've seen a lot of people. I watched some of his LDL games, and he did get a lot of attention from Shun and Lucas, but I think he's going to be better than Uniboy, just comparing them to LGD. I think Sam D and Teen will probably be better than Kramer and Peace. I don't think Kramer's that good anymore. Like we saw him at Worlds, we saw him in LPL. They were consistently losing lane, which is why Mark would have to leave. All 3 of their junglers, I think, kind of show promise. Even Xiao Peng on DMO was fine, in my opinion. He's still like challenger in Korea. Bevvies.
He was one of the only good things about DMO.
Yeah, it was the only good thing.
Makes me
the only
feel
part
so
of this
sad.
roster I don't like is Chalitza. Like Chalitza is just probably the worst top laner in LPL. But I mean, LGD have Colt early on since Garvey's not there. So yeah, I kind of think just in terms of members, TT just outstacks LGD for me.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm gonna stick by my thing. I just think I nothing about LGD's roster gets me excited. Absolutely nothing. And like I look at it and I'm like, don't get me wrong, Clement. I agree that there's a lot of potential, but at the same time, like I don't know. I just see far too many issues with that, especially when you're missing your AD carry for the first 3 games. It just feels awful, man. Like it just feels really bad.
So
I don't know. I'm gonna stick by my guns. He's bad.
The thing that I had with Uniboy as well was like he kind of looked good on like 2 champions. It was like in PCS, it was like Zoe and Syndra, and then he was like relegated to Set. So I'm just kind of like,
I mean, look good
what
at
do you do
set,
if
but
he
it's not
does
that difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm just kind of like, I don't really know, like what happens when he's just taken off of those 2. And then for LGD, like I think mid lane and jungle is super important in this meta, and if Uniboy is starting to lag behind, like you can just take over.
I think that's the key thing about Uniboy as well, is he was really good in the context of being in that 2v2 with the jungle, right? Because it was the mid jungle that subbed in for the team, and they looked good as a duo. So the question is like, how well does he fit into the team outside of that?
Yeah.
Another team I think we've glazed over a little bit is we've all put E-Star exceptionally low, but I actually think some of the players on this team are like fairly exciting players, right? Like Xiaoxi could pop off. Like Rat has had some pretty great games. Insulator has had some really standout games. Hacker was one of the better parts of OMG last year. And then ZS is obviously a bit more of a question mark.
So for me, it's kind of like, can he start do it again? Like, because they did it in January of 2020, and then they got figured out. And now they've got kind of the same game plan, which is like, let's just bring in a bunch of rookies who looked pretty good. And I do agree, like, Rat looked pretty good when he got his starting position over Wink. But it's the rest of them that I'm not entirely sure on. ZS didn't look good in Demacia. Xiaoxi, like, looked good in spring and then looked abysmal in summer. Like, he really needs to step it up if they want to try and make anything happen. And then Insulator, I know he looked all right in the LDL, but he was never really, like, crazy for me. I think I'd rather see a little bit more coming through. But look, we've seen what E-Star can do with a bunch of rookies. They just find a style and it works. But you need to try and make it happen again here.
I think this team has two players that I'm really excited for. I think Xiaoxi obviously is the standout, right? Xiaoxi in spring was good. I actually thought Xiaoxi in summer was still fine with kind of how that team operated. But I'm actually really hyped for Insulator. We don't know if they're going to use him because he actually only played one game during Demacia Cup. It was one of their only wins. But Insulator, for anyone who doesn't know, used to go under the name Yogurt. He played on Fun Plus Plays.
Much better name, by the way.
This guy plays a ton of champions, was one of the best mid laners in the LDL while he was there. And I think he has a lot of carry potential. But I think the rest of the team, like Hacker's past his prime. We saw in OMG, he only knew how to gank top and try to snowball early.
If I was on that OMG team, I'd only get top 2.
That's true. That's true. It was the right choice. But ZS, this guy, he's not doing it for me. And Rat, maybe in a year this guy will be good. He's not bad. There's some potential, but I just think this team individually, like, right,
it's just underwhelming, right?
I think that's the thing, is that, like, when I look at them, like, they're not bad players. It's just that, like, when I look at them in the context of LPL, they're just not doing it for me. Like, I had Insulator kind of ranked maybe bottom 5, but that's not because he's that bad. It's just mid lane is pretty stacked in the LPL. Like, I don't know. There's a lot there where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. And even Rat as well. Like, I think he looked relatively good, but he's still looking at bottom of the barrel, essentially, for me when it comes to AD carries.
I think that's one of the big things that we'll kind of talk more about as this goes on as well, is that this year is fucking stacked, man. Like, trying to select the top, I'd say, like, there's like at least 12 like good teams, not just like mediocre, but actually good teams. So, or at least teams that have the potential to be really good. So let's move on from the bottom 4, and kind of into that, I guess, 10 to 13 range, because there'll be some crossover there between the bottom 4 and these 4, but I would expect that we're all in a similar ballpark with our picks here. So I'll just throw mine out, and we can kind of let's go around and throw our picks out and then discuss. So I'm on in 13th. I've got LNG, so just slightly higher than bottom 4. Then I've got BLG, then Rogue Warriors, and then RNG in 10th.
I have Rogue Warriors at 13th, LNG 12th, RNG 11th, and maybe to the surprise of a lot of people, FPX at 10th. I'm sorry, RNG 11th. So yeah, pretty low.
FPX at 10th.
FPX.
Ooh,
that is really low.
It is. You know, I
world
had
champion
Nuguri at one point on my tier list. Now they're all the way down to 10th. So
what happened? I want to know what happens when you bump someone 6 places down. Holy!
after they acquired a world championship top laner.
So I had this conversation with Jake earlier as well, even just comparing them to RNG, and I just look at this team and I think, like, can I rank them so highly just off the fact that, okay, the Nuguri, probably the best top lane in the world, but we compare the rest of their lanes, right? Okay, again, comparing them to RNG, who I have one place lower, I think RNG's bot lane, way better than FPX's. You know, Gala and Ming, definitely better than LWX and Crisp. I think Wei is a better jungler than Tien. And then for RNG's mid laner, I know a lot of people might disagree with me. I think Xiaohu's better than Duinbi. At the very least, it's a wash, assuming Xiaohu is going to go back to playing mid. If not, Duinbi's better than Crying. But point is, I think FPX have their other 4 roles worse than the team I ranked under them. And I'm just ranking them highly off the fact that they have Nuguri. I don't think they have like a really good system. We saw that their macro is nowhere near what it used to be. Tien's struggling in the jungle. I don't think him and Dwinby are working together the same that they were before. I just think this team is they're gonna win when Nuggery smashes top or their bot lane doesn't, get too far behind. Like, they're gonna beat some teams, but they're not gonna beat these stacked teams above them, because the top 9 of LPL is all stacked. They're all stacked with killers in every role.
God damn.
Yeah, I want to highlight 2 points that you mentioned right there. I totally agree with. Is that number one, their bot lane is going to be a huge issue, because when they were successful, they could just cheese pick and pick lanes that constantly push in, and I don't think you get away with that in this meta. And also number 2 is that I think Nuggery is going to play a very different role than he did on Damwon. Like, he's not going to be the team fight only kind of Lulu Kennen picks. He's going to be much more. Essentially, they're trying to get more of Khan out of him than they did actually get out of Khan, which is really interesting. So if
there's a lot of argument.
it's going to play really differently from the FPX that we know.
A lot of argument to have with FPX, just to interject, is because the issues FPX is obviously having is, Tien's got wrist injury. Bottom line is nothing like what it used to be. And a lot of people talked about FPX after 2019 being a worlds-dependent team, a meta-dependent team. Nuggery is like a quick band-aid, like a quick fix. Like, there's strength in the top lane, but I don't think they lacked strength before. I think they lacked unity as a team and, in a broader sense term, coordination. So, even though I have FPX a bit higher, I think having them low is I was going to say excusable. No, a bit more logical than
there's
a lot
having
of
them
fans
low.
would
There's
expect.
having them low, and then there's having them out of playoffs. They're. I agree with a lot of the stuff there. I just look at this talent on paper, and I'm like, I just can't not put them in my top. I have them 6th, if that's any relevance to anybody. But I have them 6th. I don't think that they're a top 4 team at all, but I still believe that there is enough raw talent on this roster, purely from mechanics and name alone, that just gets that. They just you look at every single one of their roles, they have a top 5 carry in every single one, bar maybe one, which I would say would maybe maybe in jungle, which is very hotly contested. So I don't know. I still have them 6. I have them top 8. I have to.
I actually love this because I have FPX rank low because I don't think they mechanically stack up to the rest of the league. And that's why you have them to rank high. I love that.
Damn it. We'll see who wins then, Mr. Jordan, won't we?
Yeah, I have to say,
I actually have them
I
super
much
high
higher,
as well,
yeah.
but with an asterisk, because I think it's all down to Tien's wrists, man. If Tien wrists don't heal, then I could see them slipping out of playoffs. But I just want to have everyone remember that they were 7th place in summer, and I think we all agree at least FPX did get an upgrade here.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
in a general sense,
I think that the bot lane will be able to
little.
chill as well. They'll just play towards top side. Nuggery will smash lane every game. Dwinby will roam top.
Depends how good Prince
Bot
is.
side just tries not to die.
I expect Prince.
Sorry,
I just want to very quickly point out, looking at Demacia Cup now, I know we don't. There's ifs and ands about how realistic this is, but honestly, I thought they looked pretty good in Demacia, LWX, and Crisp. I think especially because LWX can kind of go on Kai'Sa duty. I think it's a really strong champion for him, and I think Crisp, even if the bot lane as a whole doesn't play, so I think Crisp still looks relatively good in a support role, at least mechanically. So I don't know. At least that's why I have them slightly higher rated. I think once you go back to maybe other metas or other champions, we mightn't see them do as well. But I think if you can just play MF Kai'Sa, I think they'll be relatively okay bot side.
I feel like this kind of makes me sound like a huge jackass, but I do want to I do want to add a bit of context and say I honestly think 3 through 10th in LPL can all be
interchanged.
No,
you're right. Honestly, you are actually right.
Yeah,
but it's just such a hilarious statement.
Yeah.
I mean, it. Like we said right at the start, this is such a stacked season. Right, let's continue going around because we only did 2 of our second quarters. So, Clement, do you want to go next on your 13 through 10?
Yeah, sure. I have LNG, I have RA, I have LNG, RA, RNG. Those 2 are, very difficult to pronounce for Asians, and then BLG. So
and
that's
Irish,
going to be the L's and R's. Oh my god, they're hard. They're hard. But I'm those are going to be my 4 teams through 13th to 10th.
Is that the lowest ranking of RA? Are you the person who's put RA the lowest?
I mean, Clement has RA.
I
on
might
his
have. I put
side,
them
remember.
12th.
He also has RA at 9th. So
I have
Yeah.
RA at 13.
Oh
I have
shit!
RA at 13.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I just want to say I'm sorry, but that RA is actually LGD, so my bad.
Yeah, I have RA at
Um,
I have RA at 13th basically.
Wait, your 12th place.
Oh, sorry,
RA
12th
It's
is
place.
LGD.
Sorry,
My
12.
12 is LGD. Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Even
I'm
that's,
My LGD is
that's
a lot
sillier.
higher.
That's sillier.
I know.
That's
I know.
so
Let's see.
silly.
Let's see. Let's see what happens. I don't think LGD are going to be that bad, but I don't want to spill all my information.
Clement, we've known each other for a while. Look at me. Look in my eyes. Do you honestly think that LGD is going to be 12th, dude? Coming from the person that said they were going to win Worlds, like I'm
Wait a
optimistic
minute, you
on
said they were
LGD.
going to win Worlds?
We
Holy
went over this for months. I'm fully public with
This
it.
is meant to be like
Why
a
would
moment
you
of glory, and
When
you've
did
just
you
been
check it?
roasted. Oh.
What do you mean when did I jump ship? When they got eliminated at
You say
Worlds.
this one? Oh my god!
When they got eliminated at
Where's
Worlds,
the
I had to
standard?
jump ship because the
Oh
ship was
my-
gone.
I had at the start of the split gone, yeah, I think LGD are going to be 4th. And Jordan looked at me like, what the fuck are you thinking? And next thing, you just see the Kool-Aid man that is Hysterics burst through the wall. I was like, they're first, they're going to do it.
You're right.
I still want to say I don't think LGD was the 4th best team in LPL summer. They are lucky they didn't play against my boy Bull, but
Yeah.
that's how it shakes
They're
out.
insane.
IG definitely weren't the fourth best.
Dude, the only reason they're 4th is because they played IG twice, okay? That's the only reason they're 4th, and IG shit the bed both times.
But any other
True
team would have been
IG
fourth for that reason as well. So I'm gonna take this time to. Am I next in the wheel, Joe? I can't see the wheelhouse.
I don't think Rob. You did yours, right, Rob?
Rob hasn't
No,
done
I
it.
haven't.
No,
No.
Rob's
We
next.
did
So-
Clement.
I have
That's better.
ONG at 13th, Rogue Warriors 12th, BLG 11th, and RNG 10th.
Pretty high for RNG, buddy. I don't know about that
Yeah.
one, Chief.
I think, look, honestly, I don't see Shehu staying top. I think Xiaobai is just going to go to weak side, which is what he does. I mean, he's not going to be a very good one. Like, looking at E-Star, he was weak side. I just wasn't impressed by his weak side. But I think he will do the same in RNG. And then if Shehu goes back mid, they will still do random times where they come out and just look absolutely fucking amazing. And then other times when they shit the bed. So I think we're still going to get the same RNG, and they will end up somewhere near playoffs. I just don't think they'll hit playoffs.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think RNG are a team. If they put Xiaohu back to mid, they're going to be one of those like 7 teams we get that is one series away from making playoffs, but for whatever reason doesn't. They're still going to stomp early game in like half their games because I do think they've upgraded jungle. I do think Wei is better than Xiaolongbao, so that's an upgrade. Xiaobai, I don't think Xiaobai is that much worse than New. So assuming they run with him, that's fine. But if they run Xiaohu top and Cryan mid, my God, this team will get massacred. And you guys know I'm the fucking Xiaohu apologist. I love RNG. I bought an RNG jersey. Don't put Xiaohu top. My God, Demacia cut my eyes. Oh,
It's fine. He can just play Silas. It's fine. It's fine. We just play Silas every game.
Thank God they changed that.
The other top laners in lane, like he didn't do anything else, but
like
he beat
his
the top lane.
His laning was fine, which even goes back to mid, right? Xiao was a better laner than Cryan, 100%.
Yeah.
Xiao's a good laner, but my God, and TP is like reset timings, like move timers, like everything about top lane is different. He doesn't understand any of it, and it's not even a knock on him. Why should he? He's played mid for like 7 or 8 years. Oh,
True.
My question with RNG is, do you guys think that they're going to play the same way that they have for all these years, which is basically folding all of their weak side chips into the bot lane? Because that's exactly how I see this team. And if it's not going to work with Uzi, I don't really see it working with this team either. So that's kind of my comparison.
That's why also I agree with Rob, right? They're going to be a team that finishes right outside of playoffs, but they're going to beat all the teams that are lower than them, and they're going to maybe get a sneaky win against, some top team and stomp them in 15 minutes like Top Esports. And we're not going to see them in playoffs, and that'll be the RNG story. And I'll cry in the corner. So
No, Cryan's in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Oh
God,
no!
Not like this.
Go,
Not like this.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I pretty much agree completely, though. I have them in 10th. Like, I think that they'll show some good signs, but generally speaking, the one thing I will say, Garlo and Ming, dude. Garlo and Ming actually look pretty fucking good in Demacia Cup. Like Gala especially, I actually think this could be the year where he starts to look like an exceptional talent. Like the bot side of RNG, I'm really excited for.
I think he did at the end of last year. I mean, I think Gala was like a lot of people don't agree, but even though he needs a couple more years or needs a bit more, I feel like he has that high ceiling potential that Uzi has. While he might not be the exact Uzi-esque successor, whatever. Clement doesn't agree. I think Gala has that potential. I mean, he's such a carry 80 carry. Does he go past his champion pool, which is like Kaiser and Aphelios? Who knows? I don't think it's
my
very
problem.
hard,
My problem with this hype train, and I'm gonna derail it a little bit, is the meta. It just doesn't lend itself for you to be an insane, unbelievable AD carry like it used to be. If you could just be a safe AD carry, you're fine. You don't need to be as good as Uzi. You don't need to be as good as Jackie Love. You just need to be safe. It's about the other lanes and the jungle pressure, in my opinion, anyway. I just feel like Gala's not going to be able to shine because he's not going to have that kind of support.
I think that's first off up in the air because we're just finishing preseason, so we don't really know.
True.
But second off, I actually think with the introduction of stuff like Gale Force to the game, there's actually a huge amount more skill expression in the AD carry role than there has been in a couple of years, honestly. Like, I'm really excited for the way that the meta shifts, and the way it's looking right now is that crit AD carries are going to come in more and more, meaning that late game 1v5 AD carry meta could actually come into the game. There's potential for it. So it's possible that towards the later stages of the year, depending on how patches go and things, that actually could end up being the way that League of Legends looks.
True, but if I'm playing against RNG in any fashion, I know what I need to do to win. I just camp bot lane. I shove everything into bot lane and make sure Gala never even gets to that point. I don't know. I have RNG 12th. I have them quite low. I do not really believe in anything that I don't know. I just like this team seems like a mess of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And I'm really not excited. Mechanically, a lot of these players are really good. I can see a lot of potential. Like they will take some games. They are better than obviously Rogue Warriors, E-Stars, and LGD and stuff like that. But I do not see them like getting even close to like sooning and stuff.
I'm just gonna real quick jump in to give people context. There was like a game and 2 games essentially between 8th and 12th in LPL. So that's the area that we're arguing here.
It's even closer in spring. Even spring was like 8th to 9th to
15th. Yeah.
And LGD were like on the cusp at the bottom. Yeah.
I want to.
It is close.
Okay, can we, Lyric? What did you want to say about RNG?
I feel like the Gala thing is kind of important. Just the context of, honestly, I feel like AD carry in LPL is the weakest it's ever been. I don't feel like we really have and
we talked about this,
like a bunch of Uzi level players like we did before. So Gala, I think, is a top 80 carry in LPL, but that's because of the role in LPL, in my opinion, and not necessarily that Gala is
true.
Big fish, little pond kind of setup.
Yeah.
I also want to point out the Gala thing is that I think he's really good in team fights. He looks like the best player on RNG in team fights, no doubt whatsoever. But he's never been lane dominant throughout his entire career. And if you look at the trajectory for ADC careers, AD carries are born. They're not built. They don't get better over the years. They start out excellent and then they slowly peter off. So for me, Gala, I don't think he's going to give you the same yield that Uzi did. Like when they were running Uzi, you level 2 gank, you level 4 teleport from top lane, level 3 Shahu comes and
dive the tower.
That's worth it because Uzi's going to give you 20 plus CS leads every time. But I don't think Gala, if you look at his histories, he's never really done that through his career. He's much more been focused on the team fights. And that's why I also think that this RNG, if they're going to play this exact same way that they did with Uzi, this is simply just like a downgraded version.
Just remember with trends, LPL never won Worlds until 2018, right? We're talking just trends in general. I know it's very, apples and, blood oranges, but like, 80 carries can still be developed.
That feels very disingenuous. LPL was in the finals of a lot of international tournaments and had one MSI previous to that. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out, mate.
Leave it. Don't give any context. Make it seem that
you can say anything could happen tomorrow, okay? With that comment, you can literally say anything happens tomorrow.
Anything happens. That is true. That is also true, though.
Jake's a zoomer, guys. Jake's a zoomer. He doesn't know League of Legends. He just moves on.
I'm Generation Y, I think. I'm not Ender. I'm not. Wait. Yeah, no, I'm like a year off.
Yeah, Baba either way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Jake.
Sheen, can I put it? Yeah, can I?
It's your go, I think.
Thank you. That's why I was coming in real flash hot. Yeah, that you're pointing towards Comet for me. So, 13 for me is LNG. No surprise. Rogue Warriors come in 12, but even that felt guilty because I reckon they could probably just make 9th or 10th. RNG in 11, and this one made everyone upset. Is I put EDG in 10th. So here's okay.
Yeah,
All right,
I have them
settle
9th.
down.
I agree.
Okay. The thing about
I'm top
EDG
four.
is like skepticism, right?
Top
It's
four
it's
for
kind
me
of the
too.
feeling with RNG that I get, where the feeling like maybe they're very different teams, right? But it's skepticism on the basis of like, what does Clearlove bring? What form is he going to be in? Is less of a question. What like EDG's individual strengths have grown, especially having Gory behind Scout. I am very believing of having a second player who's really hungry and young behind a player to, build them up. Like Lo Yan with Ning last year was a very good example of that. Viper with Hope and then Mako still bottom. I'm just still like skeptical because EDG had a good roster last year, but 10th in summer. And so how do better players, sure, but they had good players last year, in my opinion.
I agree. I kind of agree with you, but I'm gonna put in that same caveat that we put in for the last one we were talking about RNG of like there was like one game between like 5 teams or one series, excuse me. So like you could 100% be correct that they might just not make it. I tend to lean towards that Clearlove as a defining factor. Now, I do not have them in top 4 like these crazy motherfuckers, but I have them in top 8, but not very high in that top 8 because I feel like Clearlove could be the difference between not getting into playoffs and getting into playoffs. But go on with
I agree with
the
that.
rest of your
I just
stuff.
want to add just quickly before I hand it off again, that this is the one I'm most skeptical about for where I put, ironically enough. So I'm skeptical about the roster, but I'm also skeptical about my placement. So I'll leave it there.
I want to say.
Do you guys want to jump on EDG now, or should we save it for later?
I'll jump on it now.
Yeah, we
Let's
might
go,
as
let's
well.
go.
We might as well.
So, for me, I think a big thing is I think this team will be the one that is most dynamic in their placement. I think if Clearlove integrates well, I can even see this team being like top 2, top 3, but they'll have like the most drastic drop off if he doesn't. I think talent wise, they're just too stacked. I mean, Flandre, I think, is a massive upgrade to Xiaoshang, Audi, and who the third one's escaping me, but of course they had a bunch of top laners. Viper,
Junja.
I do think
sorry.
is better than Hope. Gory under Scout. I love the point that Jake made. I think he's going to be great because Scout does have those times where he just seems kind of off, and you can even see in his solo queue there are times where Scout will grind like 13 games a day at some points, and that's when he's really hot in LPL. And there's times I'll check his profile, he's playing like 4 to 5, and he's not playing too well, and he's slumping. But I think mechanically this team's too stacked. I think they can be very versatile in where they play with Clearlove back. I would think they're going to play more towards bot side like they always did, especially with having Viper on the roster. But we did see in 2020, they were able to play around top because Scout and Junja only ganked top lane. They never went bot. And now that they have Flandre, I think that will be good. EDG, self-admittedly, their biggest problem was shot calling. Clearlove's a shot caller and Flandre's a shot caller. So if Clearlove doesn't work out, guess what? JJ is still fine. JJ is still, an average to above average jungler in LPL. So I can't imagine a world where this team doesn't hit, its stride. I believe in those intangibles in Clearlove. I believe in this team, even if Clearlove doesn't work out, because I think JJ is sick. And yeah, top 4 EDG. Let's go, Clement Chu.
So I haven't got as high. Sorry, go on, Clements. I'll let you jump on the 4th place.
Oh no. If you want to go, you can go first. I'm totally fine.
I'm gonna wait, and then I'm gonna go last after you go.
So I have them in playoffs. I don't have them as high as 4th, but I agree pretty much with a lot of what Jordan said. I think Clearlove coming in is going to be great. Farm heavy, like he was always a farming kind of style jungler, so I think he's going to fit current meta. Super smart is Pathfiend, which as we see at the moment is doing very, very well. Like when you look at like Canyon, Kanavi, these guys are just so smart in how they path and how they play, and I think Clearlove fits that style. And very counter gank oriented. Like he just reads the jungler super well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, and playing down towards bot side I think can work super well. He used to do a lot of like when Scout was on the team with him, he used to play around Scout and then move it all towards bot side. So I think we're going to see a lot of that again. The bigger thing for me is just like impact from bot side. Like in a lot of situations, if I get a couple of kills, I can punish through that. But like having a super strong AD carry at the moment, just with the picks that are there, doesn't always feel particularly strong. And there are ways to try and punish that if they're going for just like a very systematic one-dimensional style, which was something that was said about Clear Love in the past, was you kind of knew what you were up against and what he was going to do. So I want to see if he's able to bring something different to the table, because I think if you know, hey, look, Clear Love and EDG are going to play around bot side, you can answer for that and look to just mix it up so they're not able to just play that style all the time.
Yeah, for me, my look on EDG is mainly, I think it is the Clear Love debate, to be absolutely honest. I think Clear Love is going to kind of make or break this team. And for me, Clear Love is always going to be a band-aid option to the next generation of EDG junglers, because his peak was honestly 5 years ago, Season 5, taking down SKT1. That was kind of his height. And mechanically, he's degraded a lot. Last time he showed up on the Rift, Xiaopeng beat his ass pretty hard just solo, and that's why EDG took a very early exit compared to Sino Dragons. So there is that nagging concern for me, is that, hey, maybe Clear Love, we haven't seen him in a while, maybe he isn't going to be that sharp, and from what we last seen of him, he's not going to look that good. However, the rest of the team is just so damn good that it has forced me to overlook that point. I do believe that given Clear Love's weaknesses solo as a jungler, I don't think that other teams are going to be able to exploit this. And if you look at the shot calling that Clear Love provides, Scout plays a lot better with him as well. That's one of the things that I think that people tend to forget. Like in EDG's heyday, a lot of their early game setups did come from just mid lane. Clear Love going and using the Rek'Sai, harassing the mid laner, freezing the wave, while Scout was on something like a LeBlanc, and they would just put the enemy mid laner in such awkward positions. They would completely skirt over the 2v2, because even then, like EDG's 2v2 mid lane jungle wasn't actually that strong, but their wave control and their harassment of back timings, it just made Scout so much more potent as a player. And Scout's already a top 3 mid laner in my books in the LPL. So I think what's going to happen is that Scout you're probably going to see the best season that he's ever had in quite a while. And then you look into the top lane where, they're having a split pusher come in. And Flandre is really important for me to this team, because another one of EDG's previous weaknesses was their sort of inability to play team fights. EDG was always a team that could out macro you early game. They could out lane you early game. But if it came to team fights, and they weren't really the best in that area. And you think back again to fighting against SKT1 where they were up 9k and they lost in the mid lane. Or you think about getting losing with 3 inhibitors up 2 times to WE. So that's team fights was always something that I felt like they weren't that strong. But what Flandre gives them is another way to play team fights. Flandre is actually a career split pusher. He's a very good flanker. We just call him Mr. Flankenshank because he always comes from behind and just kills your AD carry. And I think with that, it basically solves all the problems for me for EDG. They don't have to play straight front to back team fights. And I think that with another heavyweight talent in the top lane, you have the top side covered. I don't think that Clear Love's solo weakness is going to be exploited. And for me, that's just, they're just way too strong. Like all of their weaknesses are gone. They have a very clear path on how that they can play the game. They can run a straight 1-3-1. And that's why I'm putting them in 4th.
All right.
That was really long-winded, but
no, I like that it was in depth. I like that it was in depth.
I don't know.
So I want to basically counter that. I have EDG in 9th. I theoretically agree with everything you guys are saying about what this team could do. I just have no faith that it's going to happen whatsoever. I think Flandre right now, honestly, is super overrated. I don't think, there was a lot of times when he was just losing lane in the top lane. Obviously, the team he was on, very much a train wreck, but there was still a lot of individual, just massive mistakes and situations where he would just completely fall behind individually. I think Clear Love, is just a huge question mark, and it's not a question mark that I'm willing to just bank on, especially when you look at some of the jungle talent in the LPL, it's stacked. So it's not actually going to be an easy task to just come in and maybe play shot call instead of going toe to toe. Scout as well, Jordan said it best, where he's really hot and cold. Sometimes he'll play exceptionally, but if he's not in the right mood, or if it genuinely feels to me like maybe it's something to do with personal mood as opposed to actual ability, but it feels like sometimes he's just, it's so often I was watching EDG games and it felt like there were ways for them to win and they would just kind of sit and just watch the game be lost around them. And maybe Clearlove comes in and fixes that, but I don't know whether that's going to happen. And the bottom lane as well with Hope and Mako, or Viper and Mako, whichever way around I'm sure they'll mix it up across the year. Like maybe Viper comes in and changes everything up. But again, it's like there are just so many question marks there for me that I'm not willing to say, yeah, this is guaranteed a top 8 team.
You're skeptical like I am.
Disappointing.
You're skeptical like I am. I mean, you're wondering, like, is everything just going to be fixed? Like, every argument makes sense for EDG. That you guys were all going around telling me, like, why EDG, like Clement especially, we should be praising them. And I agree. There are so many good points here for EDG, but it is just skepticism thinking that, yeah, does Clearlove actually make this team? And I guess, myself and Joe think probably not, because they're going to be outside of playoffs, at least for spring.
I want to add I don't want to add one thing, right? It's not just like on my judgment of specifically EDG. It's that I think it's easier. Like there are more solid points to believe in the teams above EDG than there are in EDG
That's also
themselves,
true.
and so I put them lower in the power rankings.
I think for me, like people look at this roster and the players and the organizations through rose-tinted glasses. People love Clearlove. They adore him. They want him to be playing at the best again. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it's not gonna happen. It's just not. It's a fever dream that's just completely, kind of biased towards a player, which is fair to have. And go on, get that gin in there.
I have to be able to see how high up in the glasses.
How much was that?
Enough.
How much is that in England?
That's about a shot, maybe, give or take.
But yeah, it's an English shot. But yeah, like I just see a very real world where Clearlove comes into this team and just gets absolutely slapped around by some of the better junglers. I know, but my point is that I just see
are they
Clearlove
ever going to
literally getting slapped.
Think about it, right? Like, let's be honest, Clearlove coming in is kind of
slapped around. Yeah,
I feel like Clearlove coming in is a PR move, guys. Are they really going to sub out Clearlove when everyone's so fucking hyped?
My point being, more for a point, right? So hypothetically speaking, Clearlove's getting slapped around. They need to swap him in, right? They bring in JJ. Does that doesn't fix any of the problems we just talked about like the shot calling, the lack of kind of team fighting, or like being able to kind of move around. Like you're losing a shot. Yes, you have Flandre, but he's going to be able to. Is that going to be something they're going to have to swap to? Is that kind of something like that's two different dynamics for a team then?
I don't really agree. I'm kind of in the same line of thinking as Clement, to where I actually don't even think they'll need to swap out Clearlove. I kind of think, like Clement said, I feel like this team has so many strengths and covered so many of their weaknesses in other areas. Even if Clearlove is subpar, I actually don't think it matters. Even if they had XX on this team, like if he had the potential intangibles of Clearlove, I think this team will still be like, top 4, top 5, top 6. So, but I don't know. I have to say, I do believe in the system. I think they have like a clear like trajectory of growth, but like I said, for me, this is also the team I could see having the biggest variance.
So I saw Clement's comment in chat there. Clement, do you want to put down a bet? Is there something really to take that?
Let's go.
I want to see this.
So just
playoffs.
For anyone on
Let's
Spotify,
bet.
can you repeat
No problem.
the bet? Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you like to do? What is it? What was the bet?
If
let's think
EDG
of
make
something,
playoffs
okay?
or not. If EDG
Yeah.
make playoffs or not. I
Because
think
this
that's
is
fairly
easy money for me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, guys, but this is
We're not
easy.
betting money. We're not allowed to. That's against Twitch's
Well,
terms.
why don't we live up to
Just to make that
LPL
clear.
reputation?
That's a
right?
figure of speech.
I say you just we do something like wear a wig on broadcast or something like that. If anyone's willing to take it, because I have them.
You have to quit. You have to leave.
I'm sorry, but I don't think the company will allow that. Okay, that's not
If we tell them how it came about, I'm sure.
Just see Clement down at bloody EDG's headquarters, lads. I really need just to start getting wins.
Okay. What I'm gonna bet is this. Okay, if EDG wins, makes it into playoffs, you non-believers, you have to do an impression of Clearlove's most handsome intro, where he is completely soaked, only wearing a t-shirt and looking into the camera very sensually. Okay, that is what you're gonna have to do.
Do we send it
You know
privately
what?
to
that
you?
link
If
out.
we can
On
get if we
LPL?
can get permission, if we can get
Yes, on the
permission,
LPL.
if we can get permission to do that, I'm 100% in. 100%.
But what happens if you lose, Clement?
Same thing, just reversed.
Okay.
I'll just play another player. Okay,
All right,
You
he's
guys
taking
you,
the bet.
you'll be soaking wet and
Yeah, I was
sensually
gonna
looking
say
at the
you
camera
can't
as well.
get us.
yeah, the
Yeah, you
entire
can't-
cast. Okay.
But I want those eyes.
It's
I want
basically
those
whoever
eyes.
loses is a
Really.
wet
Yeah,
t-shirt
Clip
competition.
it. Clip it.
Okay, so I'm going with they don't make play. I'm sorry, I'm going with they do make playoffs according to my power rankings. So I'm going off power rankings. That's what I have to go with.
God,
well, they
I
don't.
have them in 9th. Like, I am the most on the fence in this
Get
regard
soaked,
as
baby.
possible
Get
to
soaked.
be. Oh god.
Is it Jake? Where do you have them? Do you have them in playoffs? No, you don't. You have them 10th, right?
No, I'm the one. I have him 10th, bro. So,
Yeah.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
So Dagda, are you with or against EDG?
I have them in playoffs.
You have them in playoffs.
It's
Yeah.
4 for in playoffs and 2 for not in playoffs. First of all, I have them in playoffs. Don't you dare!
You know what?
Term this,
Jake, I'm with you, buddy. Let's do this.
Yeah, you are.
EDG are overrated. They're overhyped.
I'm not even going
They're
to
not
buy the
making
third
it.
shit for
It's
it.
gonna crash and
No, we
burn.
don't need to.
All right.
Oh,
Let's move on from EDG. Did everyone do the?
Did you
no,
give us your
I
range,
haven't,
Joe?
I haven't
Or
given
Shane?
mine, or Joe hasn't given his. So,
Oh, yeah.
my range from what was it, 13th to 10th? Yeah, I have Rare Atom, RNG, LNG, OMG. That's what I have.
Oh,
Rare Atom
OMG.
really
I have OMG pretty high.
OMG really high
10.
and Rare Atom really low.
Jeez.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Like everything if this roster came out last year, like for Rare Atom, I would have been so hyped for it, like so genuinely excited. Leanne, Fofo, iBoy, like I'm like, oh my god. And then I watched them in 2020. I'm like, apart from Fofo, I don't really have much to really say positive about these guys. Like I just didn't like them. I just didn't have a huge amount of I didn't have a huge amount of faith. I found that they were just kind of wet, like similar to what we were saying about EDG last year. A lot of the time, like these players kind of just like didn't have the pop off factor that I needed from them to have. For OMG, honestly, it was kind of more down to I forgot about them and I had already cemented where everyone else was going.
And they are very forgettable.
I literally went, there's my top 9, and there's like last to 14, or so like there's like to 14th. I was like, who am I missing? Oh, I'll just slot OMG in
Fair
there.
enough. Hey, at least
So,
you can't
but
knock me out
I
of
had
steam.
reasons for I had reasons for Rare Atom. Also, I am not a fan of their logo. That also paid into the thing. I
I
don't
just want to
like
say it looks like the
it.
FA for free agent.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I do have a little confession for this as well. I thought they were Rare Atom squared because if you look at Gamepedia, there's a little 2 beside it.
Oh, yes.
Because it says this used to be Vici Gaming. So I actually thought it was Rare Atom squared for the entire time until I looked today. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about that, and I was just like, that's definitely not their name.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. It's an LPL team. God only knows. But yeah, so that was it. Yeah.
So do you-
LNG is like whatever for me.
Do you guys want to hit on Rare Atom now, or do you want to come back to that? Because I think everyone else has them higher up. We could come back to that
Now's good.
conversation.
I think now's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we can
okay.
go into
Lemon
it.
had them kind of low as well. I think for me, I'll just start and I'll say I feel like I've kind of drank the Demacia Cup Kool-Aid a little bit. With this
Me too.
like I've been thinking about it a little bit to where Fofo for me is a top 4, top 5 mid laner in the LPL. He already was, like looking back at summer and even spring, he was already good, but summer especially, I thought Fofo was insane. His laning phase, I think, is one of the best in the LPL. Like this guy can beat anyone other than, you know, like the Knight, the rookie of the LPL. I think great team fighter, can play side lanes well, has a champion Ocean, and was really the only standout point on BLG in summer. Ix is a player who we've seen improve consistently. He's probably one of the only players in LPL I can think of where you can think in spring, kind of like mediocre at the start, got better towards the end. In summer, was looking pretty good when Luyen wasn't playing before he had come on in. And I think in Demacia Cup, Ix looked insane. And him and Fofo work so well together because Ix is so conditioned from playing with Forge to where he's like, fuck, I need to gank mid. I can only gank mid. If I don't gank mid, this guy's gonna blow up. So now you have this amazing mid jungle 2v2 like we saw at the Moxie Cup. And iBoy, for whatever reason, during the Moxie Cup, was playing amazing. So again, great formula, mid jungle 2v2 into the bottom side of the map. Cube is a phenomenal role player. This guy is
I know
going
what
to be able
Rob's
to hold
about to
against
say.
anyone. And it's
I was actually
I
just
like a lot.
I'm actually going to agree with Jordan for a lot of it. I just wanted to say, I actually think iBoy's performing better because Hung has stepped up massively. He looks so much better. Like they were winning lane a lot, and a lot of that was off the play and his like positioning in the lane and putting a lot of pressure down. And even then, like outside of lane as well, his team fighting was really, really good. Like Hung, from like what I expected of him coming from summer into now, at least from Demacia Championship, looked so damn strong.
I just want to add one caveat because I'm all aboard the Rare Atom hype train, but I do want to add one caveat. It's really easy to look good as a bot lane duo when you get Samira Alistair every fucking game. It's really fucking easy. You just press right click at a couple of Qs and Ws and you've won the lane. Congratulations.
All you do is flash Q as Alistair. Every fucking game they did the same thing, which was, all right, we're against Jhin. Alistair, Home just flashes on top of them as Alistair.
At level
Qs,
1, yeah.
You've grown everything. All right, cool. We've still got Hex Flash. You can't farm. So, yeah, it kind of made it a little bit easier.
And it's also easier when your mid jungle is winning every 2v2 and can consistently come to bot as well. So, but that's why the Demacia Championship showed everything can go right for this team, and they put up the biggest fight against top esports. So
and then
let's go.
You've got Cube who can just play fucking Ornn or whatever. He could just be weak side all day long while you basically do the RNG thing and just everyone camp bot and get iBoy super fair.
He did get solo killed though.
He will. iBoy will run it. I just want to quickly tell everyone this. Like iBoy will run it. There will be plenty of games where iBoy just runs it, but there will also, I would say there's going to be like 60% of games where he plays exceptionally. His mechanics are obviously still top tier. Like he's a really fucking good AD carry, but there will be like 30-40% of the games where all of the eggs are in his basket and he just gets caught out or like rotates in a bad pathing or whatever and just dies and then they lose the game. So that's the big caveat.
The problem I have with the Cube, going back to your point, is like I want to like Cube. Like I remember watching him Demacia Cup last year, and he like had that really cool solo kill as Gangplank, and ever since then I'm like I really want to, but he's just an anomaly to me. Where sometimes you'll have these great laning phases, he looks fantastic, and then Demacia Championship he gets solo killed as Sion by Binzorn, and I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like I never know what to expect. There's just certain times where I'm just like, oh, actually, yeah, Cube is fine, he looks good. This is actually something you can work off. And other times it's just like he's shit the bed. What the fuck is he at? So like that's the problem that I have with Cube is that I don't know what I'm always getting with.
He's actually contractually obliged to hover his mouse constantly over the teleport button. Okay, so you can't blame him that much.
Morgan 2.0.
That's the actual case. You know,
that's
like
just
sometimes
how the cards are dealt, man. You just have to deal with that. I don't know. Like I am not aboard this hype train. I don't see this going well. As much as Joe just said, like 30 to 40% iBoy, I think it's more 60 to 70. Like in that kind of regard, I think he limit tests like crazy, and sometimes he comes out looking like a god. And other times you look at him, and you go, "What the fuck are you doing there? Like, there's no reason for you to actually do that whatsoever, other than lads, I can do this."
Yeah, but think about those 3 caster minions though. That's all. That's over 50 gold, guys. Like, I'm just saying.
There's 3 caster minions, and that's 20 damage you're able to put down onto the opposition support. Like, I don't know. Like, I will be pleasantly surprised because, again, like I said, you present to me this roster last year. I am hyped. I'm excited. Like, I think this is a really cool roster. Right now, I have been burned too many times, and once bitten, twice shy. So I am not on this hype train. I don't think they're going to be able to make it work. I think, and the worst thing is, I actually think with this particular team, if it doesn't work straight away, if it doesn't hit the ground running, then it's just going to become even worse because these are the kind of emotional players that live off of those kind of highs. Like, we've seen it like plenty of times where like they go from like, yes, amazing, and then they do a little bit of a run, and all of a sudden that little bit of a dip becomes an absolute slump. It just doesn't feel like it will work for me. I would like to be proven wrong, but I don't see it happening.
This team though has some of the best in its role. Okay, some mid. Fofo is a top 3 mid. Like this is another reason when I was kind of rolling up like should EEG be in playoffs versus Rare Atom, because for context I have Rare Atom in eighth. Like I have them as the benchmark. Even though a lot of people would agree that maybe it's more like, you know, Sheen talks about hitting the ground running, maybe and then if it doesn't work out, then some of they'll fall further down. I think this is like a great developing roster where Fofo's finally free of all that drama with Meteor that was very public by the end. He now working with Ike's, and Lyric brings up a really good point that what we saw in Demacia Cup was really, really good. Fofo and Ike's, and the ability to play with Leanne as well, I think is a really big selling point. But not only that is the development from iBoy, okay, to get him back into Clement. What was it? 2018, 2019 form. EDG. What was his best? It was 2018.
Right out the gate, I think it was 2017.
Okay, so
Yeah.
iBoy returning, and then I had really big thoughts on Hung and Maestro. Me and Lyric were selling Hung and Maestro towards like their debut at the start of the year, especially since Maestro solo killed a jungler. Yes, you were.
Selling Maestro. I was not selling Hung. Maestro
Hung
solo killed Bunja.
Hung
That was some massive energy, but no.
Let's just say, how big of balls do you have if you call yourself Hung? Honestly,
Also,
because
when you
this
just go in
supports-
anytime anyone's within range of any of your abilities, like he
Yes.
lives up to it.
But the thing is, like this roster's developed, and I honestly think that like Cube may be questionable at times, but I don't know.
I
Fofo's
do have
just
a
such a
question for
big
you.
selling point.
What exactly? I have a question for you, and not to call you out when I agree with most of your points, but you said some of these players are at the top of their role. So who
Who?
other than Fofo is top?
Some
top four?
was a revolutionary
One-
word.
One person who
One.
is still
One is one.
arguable.
The rest of
This
maybe
is
top
what I
five.
want to say though. Like, this is the reason I actually feel like Rare Atom is one of those teams. I have them outside of playoffs, but I could definitely see them going in because we live in a world where Huan Feng is getting benched because of disciplinary reasons. Jackie Love, sometimes he just goes back into his world's form. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at iBoy and going like, wait a minute, is he the best AD carry in the LPL?
Whoa! Did you just say that out loud? Oh god!
Are you serious about it?
We're
this
doomed
is
at
why I
Worlds
think it's
2021.
actually-
No.
It's so crazy to think about it, but just because of what's happening with our top of the AD carry roles, there is going to be some days where he's just the best. And
I do think-
it's actually crazy, but I
think-
think that's a reason why you would put them in playoffs.
2021, I think will be a better year for AD carries in LPL. Aiming, obviously.
I was
super
gonna
good
say
in
because they
LPL.
just
Viper
imported a
Soul.
shit ton of
Yeah,
Koreans.
exactly. I think Mystic got back into good form. Viper's a good player. Like, I actually think 2021 could be a year where we don't have that Clement, where we don't have to look at iBoy and be like, oh my god, is he one of the, oh no. That won't happen this year, Clement. It's not happening.
I think it will. I think it will, man. I was crazy on some of these picks, man.
I love-
He's the type of AD carry that I feel like if you want a player to unlock everything that Samira can do,
Yeah.
I think iBoy actually fits the bill.
I think that's the thing. Like, he's kind of like a less refined Jackie Love. Because Jackie Love will sometimes run it a little bit, but like generally speaking, Jackie Love's pretty consistent. iBoy's like a less consistent version where sometimes he can do that insane damage per minute, insane AD carry performance, but sometimes he just overextends a little bit too much. It's just more likely that iBoy is going to overextend way too much.
Dude, I just want to bring up the Demacia Cup teasers when they were talking about their playstyles. And iBoy was so adamant that he was going to consistently int. He was like, hey, the difference on this team is when I int, Fofo won't int with me. So that's what makes us a great
Yeah.
team. And I'm like, I'm trying not inting in the first place.
At least he's self-aware.
When I shoot myself in the foot, no one else is going to follow suit. So, like, it's cool.
Incredible. Okay, let's move the conversation on then. I love how literally like a good 30% of the conversation about Rare Atom is iBoy gonna int?
Hey, just wait till we get to IG, bro.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
So let's do I guess 9th through 5th, which could be quite a big conversation, and then we'll do top 4 last.
Ooh,
So
okay, Joe.
ED, right, I'll just throw mine out first, just for the sake of starting the conversation. So in 9th, I have EDG, which we already talked about earlier.
Mhm.
And this is I'm
Here
scared
we
to
go.
say this one.
Here we go.
I have Sooning in 8th.
LGD?
I have Sooning
Sooning
in
in
Oh,
8th.
8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. And we can jump into the conversation of Sooning if you guys want to. I then have V5 in 7th, IG in 6th, and then FPX in 5th.
Okay.
I really wanted to put Sooning higher than 8th. I don't know if you guys know this. I kind of like Sooning. I think
the unofficial.
it's been a pretty well kept secret. But so the problem is, Sword Art was. I'm in two minds, right? Because I agree with the kind of rhetoric that's going on right now. That Sword Art was the shot caller, and losing Sword Art is really going to hurt this team. The one like huge question mark about that statement to me is that actually when you think about Suning this year, especially in spring, shot calling was a fucking huge issue for this team. And like being able to engage fights, and specifically Sword Art not really knowing when to go in sometimes and not really engaging correctly sometimes, was a huge issue for this team. Like Sword Art was not the best player on this team by any stretch, and like I don't think he could have been exclusively doing all of the shot calling. So I still put this team in playoffs. The team still has insane amounts of potential on it. There is like a lot of intangibles though with this team where like, is Huanfeng a drama player now? Is that a thing maybe? Like where he's kicked up a lot of fuss during Worlds and that. And I don't think it's against any of his team, so I don't think it should be a big issue. But there are, in my experience of life, there are some people that drama surrounds, and there are some people that it avoids. And maybe Huanfeng is one of those people, and it blows the entire team up. I'm just saying it's a possibility. That's totally intangible.
Maybe they can just ride it out. We'll have to wait and see. But honestly, for Suning, I have them a little bit. I'm kind of looking at if they're in playoffs as well. Like when I looked at On and at least in the Demacia Championship, I was not convinced by this team. Like On specifically was making a lot of mistakes in lane. And then in team fights as well, like positional, mechanical, and then in team fights, some of the mechanics were off as well. And he was kind of being led around a lot by his team. But the team wasn't doing the right thing. Like they were taking fights that they didn't need to at objectives. SFM going for crazy fucking tower dives that he had no business going for. So if that is what their shot calling is going to be without Sword Art, that makes me worried. But I also know it's the Massey Championship, and you got to kind of go, hey, look, how serious were these guys? But it's not boding well for me. So I have Suning at 7th, but it was a serious toss-up for me as to whether they actually get into playoffs.
I do just before we continue the conversation, I just want to throw in, I checked the roster for tomorrow, and Huanfeng is playing. It's not going to be...
Quick, everyone change your lists.
So just want to throw that in the conversation so everyone has complete information.
You know what? I'll even just throw out some behind-the-scenes knowledge. Suning is scrimming with both Huanfeng and Jinzhao, so we could potentially see one or the other at any point. But I actually don't think it matters for me. It's kind of funny that I agree with both of you. I have Suning at 9th. I don't have Suning in playoffs. I even feel like 9th is a bit too generous because I expect Suning to function a lot like they did in spring, where I don't think we're going to see like coordinating engages. I don't think Huanfeng is going to be played around in, even though Huanfeng wasn't actually really played around in summer, but I feel like the way Suning played kind of set him up to still be a carry. I don't think that's going to happen anymore either. SOFM, I was never sold on SOFM. I think you guys knew that at the studio, where I still remember, I think it was me and you, Joe, where we did the first Suning cast in playoffs. And we just had like, obviously all the SOFM fans in chat, like mind blown that we didn't think he was the best jungler in LPL, which again, at Worlds, guy was insane. In playoffs, insane. I think this guy really benefited off the meta, off the system that Suning had. And I think Suning actually in 2021 are going to have to look back to Angel to be a big carry like he was in spring, right? When he was playing things like the Kassadin, and he was undefeated on Kassadin in spring. So yeah, I think they're going to need to change up their play style less from this like tempo oriented pick style into more of like chaotic skirmishes. We're just playing off our mechanical skill because Bin's still a top laner. SOFM has the potentials to be a top jungler. Huanfeng's a top AD carry. Our support's kind of trash. Sorry, OO, that was a better name. You should have kept it. Maybe you'd be a better player. But
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling good on Suning.
I feel like I came in obviously watching the LPL and more so in like 2018, 2019, and Klebman can vouch for this. I was not a fan of SOFM on LNG. I was not a fan. I didn't think he was a good player at all. His team will be fighting 4v5 down in mid lane, literally 20 fucking Teemos away, and he's there going, "Oh, sweet Raptors." You know what I mean? It was just,
it was mine.
Yeah, I know, right? But he got away with it because the meta suited him. But I feel like the reason why Suning works so well on the run up from playoffs to Worlds is because I feel like Sword Art, which, again, not the greatest player in the world for that team, but he just reined him in and he was able to keep the beast in a collar, And unfortunately, if you don't have that voice, if SOFM just decides, I'm gonna go take Krugs, and you're like, well, but we should really be fighting over this bot lane tower that we have set up for to like defend against. Like, nah, screw you guys, I'm gonna go get Krugs. You're screwed. Like, I also have Sunning at night. I don't even have them in playoffs. I honestly, me and Jordan were memeing a little bit when we were kind of like kind of kindred spirits. We almost had them like C tier in terms of like when we were talking about this team, and we were like, all right, let's take this seriously, let's think about it. But honestly, like, this team could implode if it doesn't get, like, as Jordan says, doesn't get Angel coming back and being like the forefront of this roster.
I do want to add a caveat as well, just real quick, Clement, that I don't even think it's just Sword Art. I told this to Jake all year long. I think this team is very meta dependent. I still think the meta should be decent for them going into 2021. I think as long as carry junglers can be played, this team should be strong. As long as Bin doesn't need to be a primary engager, I think this team should be strong. But the second we get away from this, I'm scared that this team can't coordinate engages the way that like other comps where you need things like Jarvan in the meta to do, because they weren't able to do that in spring.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I want to jump on. Like, all of our questions about Suning is how are they going to play as a team? Because their early game formula of having the support roam with the jungle, that's not there anymore. Like, On is not going to be moving out of his lane, and he's most likely not going to be the main initiation on the team. So I think the question really is, can Angel hold up the bargain basically on champions like Twisted Fate and Galio? I think those are going to be the two most important picks for them early on, just to get things going. And if that happens, then the talent that's going to be piling in after those engages is still going to beat everyone on the Rift. Like, you have Huan Fong and you have Bin joining a team fight, joining a skirmish. Those players are still going to be enough to carry you through through to playoffs. But the first step about the initiation is the one that I have the biggest question mark over.
I could potentially see them just going back towards like Sindras and Zoes and Jins. Like, that's basically what I see this team playing, is like Funfong's Jin is really good. Stick Angel onto Zoe or Syndra and see if we can go for this long range kind of pick engage comp. But yeah, that's where I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like, if you get left with On and Bin or even SOFM as your engage tool, they're just screwed. Like, I mean, I don't see how.
If you can help it, you don't really want Bin as your engage tool because you want it to be on some kind of carry.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing as well that we need to mention is Angel came out of nowhere with one of the best Akali's at Worlds, which is a pick that he basically hadn't been playing at all in professional previously. So
2019, it was a big pick for him, to be fair, but that was a whole year. So
fair enough.
It was one of his most played in 19.
The point I want to bring up there is that we've kind of seen multiple styles from Angel across the course of this year, and I firmly believe that Angel is still pretty underrated as a mid laner in the LPL, and I think that he has shown that he's incredibly flexible, he's shown that he's incredibly talented, and I believe that regardless of what the meta ends up, by the end of summer he'll be a top mid laner once again. Whether or not it happens in spring is a different question.
I want to just add into this, to the general topic of Suning, because while you guys are talking individual players, I just want to talk about, like, because you're all talking about rankings. I put Suning in 9th for context as well. And the way I see Suning right now is, like, to your point, Munchables, I think Angel's improved a lot. I think Bin's improved a lot. I think SOFM was kind of reined in back to what Penguin was talking about with Sword Art. But I might not know much about the League of Legends environment and coaching and like what goes on behind the scenes, how teams come together. But what I do know is how team environments work holistically. And the biggest concern for me for Suning for 2021 is that communication, that team synergy, that coordination, I guess the easiest way to put together. When you lose a team leader, when you lose a very compelling and strong voice that binds everyone and then gives them direction, to build that same leadership within the same environment, bar a new leader or looking for new leadership, you compromise the integrity and the strength that they had, if that makes sense. I think losing Sword Art, something that Lyrics talked about many times, losing this big voice makes me think, well, these players are good and all these points you raised are valid, but they were coordinated, they were a unit, and they lost Sword Art, which degrades them so much from maybe a top 3 to give them benefit of the doubt because they made world finals
also
to a
Chasha,
9th. And lost Chasha.
Yeah.
They lost 2 big leaders within the
They
span of a
also
short
lost their
period.
assistant coach too. So
They also lost the assistant coach. So you lose so much over a short period. I think their leadership is down at an all-time low. And I mean, I think it's very valid to, talk about them being 9th, which they are for me as well.
without
it's
their
gonna be
coaching
SOFM
staff, who's
shot
going
calling.
to pick
Let's
them
go, baby.
Omnistone? Who's going to pick Omnistone champions for them in the final without their coaching staff?
True.
No, I'm obviously me. I think that they're exceptional coaching staff. Yeah, I don't know. Suning very much up in the air. I want to talk a little bit about V5. So we are an hour and 20 in, and we've still got like all of the most interesting teams to talk
Bro,
about.
I got a quarter of a bottle left. How you doing? Hey, lift it up. Oh, I can't.
Well,
a
it's
Hendrix bottle.
Hendrix. You can if there's a light behind it. I don't know if you can.
Give it a
Doing
shake.
well. Doing well with the L.
I've got
Doing
maybe
well with
two
the L
more.
water.
Got maybe two more.
I'll be honest. I'm up to glass 5, and now you get into V5, and even though it's not my team,
Hey, the numbers line
getting
up.
a bit excited.
Hang on. So I think we actually just jumped into the Suning conversation there. Let's
we
go
didn't
around and
finish.
do everyone's 9 to 5, and then let's talk through the teams and why we've put them.
Nothing
where
but the shots.
let's do the context first, and then do the
Go on, Jordan.
etc. So Jordan,
So
give us-
my ninth is Suning, as I just said. 8th, so starting playoffs, BLG, V5 are 7th, which is fucking heartbreaking for me. Rare Atom is 6th, and WE is 5th.
no. WE not top 4. How can
We're not
you
going to
do
talk
this
about
to
WE
me?
yet. No, we
We'll
don't
get
need to
into
talk
that.
about
We'll
WE
get
yet.
into
We'll
that.
get to that. We'll get to that.
Clement,
What about you,
do you want
Clement?
to go next?
I have Rare Atom at 9th, Suning at 8th, WE at 7th, and V5 at 6th. So pretty similar overall, I would say.
Yeah.
But I've actually mentioned WE, so I have W a little bit lower. Yeah.
Oh, we have the same 5, though.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, you don't have BLG. I had BLG.
Yeah,
there.
BLG for me is out. I put them outside of playoff range.
Yeah, I put them
You
12.
devil.
Dagda, do you want to give us your 9 through 5?
Yeah, so I've got at 9 Rare Atom, then EDG, Suning, WE, and FPX.
Okay.
I'm just letting it all soak in.
Yeah. So let's finish going around and then let's discuss. So Jake, do you want to go?
Yeah, I would love to. Suning's 9, Rare Atom 8, BLG is 7, V5 is 6, and FPX is 5.
Okay.
BLG is split, isn't it? We've got some people really. Sorry, go on, Ashin.
I was gonna say I got Suning 9th, BLG 8th, EDG 7th, FPX 6th, and V5 5th.
All right.
Jordan like that. I like the little smile, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lowest of V5. I feel dirty. Oh, God, I have sinned.
Let's be real. Dirty, but probably correct.
Say 3 Hail Marys on the Rosary and we'll be good to go, all right? So
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a lot to unpack here. Jake, you've got them the highest. Sell this team to me. Tell me why I'm way underestimating BLG.
Well, do you remember on broadcast, I was there talking about Coma's driving the train, last split. And then Zika was there. He's shoveling coal. And Coma's like, keep going, brother. Keep going. The boys, they appreciate this coal. Wipe your forehead. Keep going. So the thing about like Zika developing into a really all-star mid laner, we've got Bevvies, who I think was one of the best one of the best growing top laners. Growing top, Lyric, get that smirk off your face. I'll walk over there. And Bevvies, like some of the best solo kills. He gives me the shy vibe, which I've always loved watching just as a fan. Meteor had a really bad year. And Meteor was burdened, let's be honest, by Fofo. Fofo has left that team. He's felt no.
It was the other way around.
Burdened by Meteor. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They've separated. So they're free
You're
of
not
each other.
burdened by anyone if you get killed by a tower, okay? That's I just want to throw that out there.
Let's be honest, it was more
that's
behind
on
the scenes.
you.
But Meteor was he was the 2019, he was the best rookie in 2019. He was one of the best junglers in 2019 as well, deservedly. And I think this is a fresh year for him, right?
Number 2 in the
Zeke-
summer 2019, I believe, jungler.
That's right. Like he was amazing. And I think last year burned him down. I think this year is like a fresh start for him with a mid laner who seems very hungry, very driven. Then you have the bottom lane who on my list it says massive up because Wings and Shinmo sucked. I'm sorry. Wings and Shinmo were not a good bottom lane. You have Aiming, who people keep talking about the 1v9 carry. You have Mark, who's just gone to Worlds, and yeah, he needs some more room to grow. He needs to develop a bit more. But Mark is a lot better than Shinmo or Jin Zhao, who was relegated to support. This roster is an upgrade across the board, and mentally for Meteor an upgrade. There's no way I don't see them getting into playoffs, even if people call it a development roster. I think they're actually like potential top 4 candidates for summer.
I agree that it's a huge upgrade, but I will add that it's not very difficult to have a huge upgrade from summer BLG, which was an appalling team.
No, but I will say
This is
that
a big
like
gap.
yeah, like I honestly I'm on the BLG hype train. I was on the BLG hype train. If you look at the Reddit post we made at the start of 2020, like I thought BLG were going to be a really
We
good
all were,
team
yeah.
because
We were
because
all so wrong.
but we now know why.
At first, we were
obviously.
right. Before coronavirus, we were very right. The first week, they were amazing.
I still think Meteor is like a top 3 jungle. I will maintain that. I know I can see shifty eyes and weird
Not for me.
faces being pulled. Personally speaking, I genuinely believe he is that because of how he played in 2019 was actually insane. Like we were almost arguing why was he not number 1 in the all LPL pro team, like similar to Beishang this year, where we were like, what the hell? Why wasn't he considered like higher up on the list? Like this guy is actually so good, and like honestly, I just see improvement. Apart from maybe mid lane, like Zika and Fofo, it just depends on how they work. Obviously, with Meteor, that's that's how you decide if it's a better or not swap. But like, it's just improvements all around for me. And like honestly, like I had to stop myself from putting them higher. Genuinely, like I had to do what Jordan did for V5 for BLG. Like I love looking at this team because they're so exciting.
So I put a lot of thought into this team because I really liked them when I first looked at it, but so every team I have ranked higher than BLG, and I BLG'd 8th, I think has a coherent team style and also has like, let's say, star players in multiple roles. I think BLG is a team that has star players, but they don't have, when I look at this roster, I have no idea how it's going to play. Because the problem is, it should be obvious. You're like, okay, they have perfect weak side top laner. Definitely not the Shy dude. He was playing Renekton in Ornn every game. Not the Shy.
Talking about champion is a feeling. Yeah, feel the emotion.
Just want to say, Bubu is a Cho'Gath main. Which the Shy actually started out as a Cho'Gath main too.
And the Shy never played Mordekaiser, but here we are. Things change, and they'll align.
Point is, Bubu weak side top laner. They bring in Aiming, who's like 1v9 80 carry. You think, okay, this team plays towards the bot, but it's like, okay, Mark, not a really good laner. Mark just pretty much constantly left lane on LGD. Aiming is not going to want that. Aiming is going to want to dominate the 2v2. Zika, I do think he was able to play for jungle a bit, but I think he was a bit more selfish when he was on Vici. So he's going to have to adapt to now just playing for Meteor. I don't know how that's going to work out. And I do think Zika is a strict downgrade to Fofo. I don't think Zika's bad by any means, but it goes to what Rob said earlier. I think mid lane is such a stacked role in LPL. It's like, sure, he's good, but he's also maybe like the 8th or 9th best mid laner in the LPL. So
yeah, it's like your top half, but top half out of 17 teams is still a lot of people above you.
And I think Meteor, I don't think Meteor's bad by any means. When I made the look when you say top 3, I just feel like he clearly wasn't in good form last year.
No, he wasn't.
For obvious reasons, but I don't know if 1, he can bounce back from that, and 2, the fact that so many other people have caught up and or surpassed him. Because again, Beishang, fucking amazing. We have Weiwei now, who again, incredible. We have Karsa, who's on top of his game. SOFM, I'm skeptical, but we got to admit, great playoffs in great worlds. There's so many stacked junglers. I don't know if Meteor is going to come in and be the same guy who's carrying this team fight heavy team, which was BLG in 2019, to like a good playoff spot. So I think this team has the talent. I don't think this team stylistically will mesh together the way I think it could. I think it has a bunch of weird parts that don't really mesh.
Yeah, I want to echo like Jordan's points there. Like, I think you can look at Meteor and look at Amy and go, yeah, okay, you've got the guys that can carry, but then you look at like the support system that surrounds them, and as you said, like Zika, I don't think is going to be able to really play through the 2v2 as well as we'd hope. And if like in bot side in the support you had someone like Hung in the bottom lane, or like someone along these lines, or even missing that, like you can play that aggressive lane orientated style and play through Amy and have Meteor come down, then I'd be like, yeah, good to go. But Mark isn't a laner. He tends to play more map orientated, like getting out and like working in tangent somewhat with the jungler. But even then, his mechanics are iffy at best. Like, I don't see him being able to support them in the way that they really need. And that's the problem, is that like, yeah, I can see the 2 stars, but like there's no support system underneath them.
I will
And-
say
and-
to
oh, wait,
interject.
just real quick, Jake.
Go for
To
it.
clarify,
He's
off Rob's
interjected
point,
on your interjection.
I know.
I do think that like the supporting cast's like skill level is fine, but
Yeah.
just the way it integrates in the team, right? It just doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it makes
It's
sense.
it's a big question mark.
I will. I get it. The thing is, like, I don't know if you did that intentionally.
No.
The thing is, like, I think Mark was like that just on the support because Mark needed to be that for LGD. LGD like utilized Peanut. Peanut was not Peanut. Kramer was very much like solo lane AD carry. Played a lot of Ezreal. He's very much fine in bottom lane. I mean, Mark synced up a lot with like Peanut and through mid. What lyric? What? I see that distaste in your mouth.
No, the thing is, you're saying he's like that on LGD, but think back to.
I'm saying he
DMO.
needed to be that. I'm
Gala-
saying
no,
like
no,
that
no,
doesn't
but
make him a
Gala-
roaming.
Gala and Mark did not have a strong laning phase. Mark throughout his
No.
whole career has not been known as a strong laner. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I honestly I got to agree with Jordan on that one. Like again, Mark is not like the guys say. He is not He's not someone that you would necessarily pair up with someone like Aiming. Is probably the best
not
way
a
you could put up
Ben,
with.
I think.
Yes,
That's-
exactly. Yeah, like he's not someone who
Ben's
you're just
good
going to
example.
pair up and you're going to absolutely dominate the laning phase and then come into team fights and then kind of maybe he gets a bit iffy.
But I don't think that dismisses
yeah.
the fact that like Mark to fit the role of Aiming won't change. Now, will he be as good a laner as someone like Ben was a really good example? Maybe someone like oh no, Chris was a roamer as well. I'm
But
trying
the
to
thing
think
is,
who-
the thing
He's
is
not a
that-
Ben. He's not a Southwind. That's what it is.
So, like, I think the thing
Southwind.
is, and the big thing that you have to look at this roster, and I think it's why, like, we're so unsure as to where they should be, because right now, like, if this all fits together and they all work in tandem, this could look great. This genuinely could look like a solid roster, top 6, maybe top 4 if they really get going and the meta's right in the perfect spot. But overall, that's a big if to throw onto something to turn around and kind of go like, yeah, amazing. Now, I'm still hyped. I still think that can happen, but I'm being glass half full rather than glass half empty.
I do think Aiming probably top 3 AD carry in LPL. I
Mhm.
expect that. I think this guy's going to come in and he's going to look fucking fantastic. So I think this team has things to be excited for, which is why I have them at 8th. But I don't know. I'm skeptical.
I have them at 10th, and the reason for me, biggest reason is I think that they're only going to consistently win one lane, and that depends on if Zika actually shows up or not. So if you look at all the teams above them, IG, EDG, JD Gaming, Top Esports, V5 even, I think all of these teams can consistently win two lanes in most of their games. But this game, this team is limited to maybe winning one lane off of Zika. And also, like, talking about how they play, it's very obvious that the best style they should play is team fight front to back and have Aiming as a main carry. But that's not really how Zika functions either. If you look at Zika's champion pool, his best champions are actually assassins. They're not midline mages. He doesn't do very well with them. So if you're thinking about like trying to combine Zika as this prodigy that Koma brought in, that they're going to play around him early game, and trying to marry that with Aiming and maybe a team fight oriented composition, that actually doesn't pan out. So for me, it's early game is really iffy. Late game is also iffy. However, I will give this caveat. I think the way that this team massively improves is if Zika somehow learns more Chinese and has just like a huge leap in terms of performance. Because we have seen that in Korean players where if they can start communicating with their jungler, suddenly they look 10 times better.
Mhm.
I think
Needs a bigger
that's
champ
the
pool
only
as
hope you
well.
have.
Right now, he plays
But otherwise,
assassins and That's kind of what he plays.
I just want to add one final thing on this team, which is not really analytical in any way whatsoever. But I just want to say Mark is one of my favorite supports in the league, not because of in-game play, but because this man has so much self-confidence. It's unbelievable. He was walking onto the stage with the rest of LGD, who are like pretty much exclusively Worlds attendees. You got fucking Peanut there. You got Long Xing. You got Xie. Like, he's walking on with these like industry legends. And he's the one with like the swaggest walk and the most like stage confidence. He's got like the colored hair all messed up, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm here to fucking play."
And that's why they're last.
He's such a great legacy to PYL. He perfectly embodies what PYL was. He was Lucifer. He was the god of death. He died the most times out of anybody in the LPL. And Mark was that player. But him leaving LGD,
yeah.
I just feel like that tarnishes both of their legacies.
The confidence kind of shows up in game a little bit too, because the guy is not afraid to engage. With or without his team, he's going in. So like I just love how confident this guy is. That's all I had to say on Mark. I just think he's hilarious. All right, so we talked to BLG. V5. We need to hit V5.
I had him at 5th.
So, right, let's go around and re-say our positions. So 5th, I've got him 7th. Lyric.
7th.
Clement. You're muted.
Clement.
He had him first. I
am 6th.
Sixth. Oh, you can count on one hand. Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Dagda.
I'm 4th. I've probably got the highest of everyone.
Bold.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm 6th.
6th. Okay.
6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You go
we're all
first,
kind
Rob,
of in the
because you had
similar
them
thing.
before.
Yeah. So Rob pitches this team.
So, I mean, from the perspective of meta, like, I know we were kind of talking about Suning being very meta dependent or whatever. I think the meta still for V5 suits them to a lot. They've kept the core from last year with Weiwei, Mole, and PP God, who were the ones that I was more interested in. I feel like Y4 and Sam D, basically a sideways shift, not really much there. I think Long Xing is a big upgrade over Bevvies in the top lane, and his ability to understand, like, he's super strong with his teleports. Like, that's something that I've always liked about Long Xing, is his understanding about when he needs to be particularly bot side. And I think when you've got someone like PP God and Weiwei, and now you've got a super strong, intelligent top laner who can play weak side, I think and Mole looking really fucking good. I think honestly the V5 should be able to have a lot of ways that they can play out the game. And when I look at the rest of the teams, like the teams that I have below them are like FPX are looking shaky. WE, I'm only kind of half sold on. I'm not certain about Shanks. And then it's like Suni, Needy, G, Rare, Adam. Like, I don't see any of those teams that are really going to compete with them in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of like, I think V5 learned a lot over the year. I think they came last year and really did really well. As I said, and they just kind of built off of momentum. And, you know, fair enough, playoffs wasn't exactly the greatest of times for them, but I think they'll take that on the chin, come back even stronger, because like Rob said, just they've kept their core. I don't think Y4 is that bad. I think he might be a tiny bit worse than Sam D, but not significant enough to make the bot lane completely tank. I'm unsure about Long Xing. It depends on how they kind of work with their kind of teams of that. But the more I looked at this team, and I did put a lot of thought into this, because I almost put them like 14th, because I was just like, no, screw it. I'm done with this team. I'm done with the hype. And I was like, no. The more I look at this, the more I'm like, yeah, no, he beats him. Okay, shit. No, I can't actually put them that low. And they just kind of crept up ever so much. And like the reason why they're 5th and BLG are say 8th is because like they had a good 2020. They had a very, very solid year. And like I feel like I had to kind of give due, or credit where credit is due. Like I had to give them that. So for me, I think they'll be there is very, like, again, between the top, like I would honestly say between like 3rd place and I want to say like nearly 10th almost. Like they could all swap like on the drop of a hat. Like I actually anticipate there'll be probably one series between like getting 3rd place and getting a bye in playoffs and not getting into playoffs. That's how close I think it will be.
I want to say that V5 for me, they have the best 3-man hit squad we have in the LPL. You think about Mole, Weiwei, plus PP God. When the PP gang comes for you, there is nowhere to hide. There is no team that comes close.
Hi, Joe kids. Hi, Joe wife.
It's so weird to me to put them 7th, because I think jungle support and mid are the most important roles in the game. I think PP God is a top 3 support in LPL. Mole is a top 4 mid laner, and Weiwei is like a top 4 or 5 juggler, which feels weird. I have them so low, but I don't know. Like, it's kind of like what Penguin said. I honestly feel like they're in the same tier as my 3rd place, which is IG. So I could see them getting higher, but just having Y4 on this roster makes me so skeptical when you look at other rosters that are stacked in like 4 or 5 roles, to where this is a team that's stacked in 3. And I do think Longxing is a big upgrade over Bevvies. And the better part is he literally plays Bevvies' role just better than him. He's going to sit top on some tank. He's a better laner. He's a better team fighter. He can actually play some carry champions, unlike V5 thinking Bevvies can play Lucian. Can't. Longxing can actually play Camille. So there's diversity there. They have a very clear-cut play style. I think they have numerous winning lanes. I actually think potentially could have 3 winning lanes against some teams, because I don't think Longxing is like a pushover against a lot of our top laners in LPL. Yeah. They're not that good. So I don't know. V5 has a lot going for them, but they're still pretty one-dimensional in the fact that I think we know they're going to play from like mid jungle to bot, but at the same time, I don't think it matters. LPL has always been a specialist league. If you're the best at what you do, it doesn't matter if someone tries to like counteract it. So I don't know, man.
It's okay,
you can
Jordan.
hear it in my voice. I'm torn.
You were the original V5 hype train captain. You were the conductor. You can't lead the train right now.
Hey, Mole top 4 mid laner, Way top 4, top 5 jungler, PP God top 2 or 3. I'm still going.
I just didn't realize that Jordan was an anagram for Judas. That's the thing that surprised me the most in this conversation.
I mean, it's not, but maybe it is in Irish actually. In Gaelic.
I don't know. Yeah.
Y4 had the best play in spring with his Bard ultimate. So let's go Y4.
Shit. To defend Jordan just quickly, because Clement says he's off the hype train. He's still technically on the train. I mean, V5 making playoffs is still there.
I'll die for V5, man. I'm
like 7th is still. I mean, I have them 6th, and I think.
Wait, real quick. Mark my words. One day of LPL, when you guys are casting, I'm going to Shenzhen. I'm leading the fucking Gios. I'm leading the V5 Gios, boys. I'm there. I'm screaming.
Yeah, because they just got their arena. Their arena's actually. They're going to be debuting, so Shenzhen's actually going to be a destination.
That's exciting. I hope they've got like crucifixes everywhere, and like he's wearing a pope hat on the stage.
BB God's like, what the hell is this? This roster only got better. I think it was one of the most fun teams to cast. It was a shame how against Suning, I think, especially it was game 2 or 3 where they threw a dragon fight, and from there it just kind of went downhill. And I could definitely see them winning the series. I thought V5 were going to be the 3rd, 4th team at Worlds, at one point, but this team only got better, and if they're not in playoffs, I think it's a genuine surprise. I think V5 is like across the board one of the most talented rosters, and they're a team that I think, kind of like IG, could be anywhere between like a high tier position with their best performance and maybe towards the bottom of playoffs, if maybe out at the worst case scenario. But I think V5 should be making playoffs. If V5 don't make playoffs, then I would genuinely be shocked.
I just want to add about the V5 squad thing. Like when we talk about teams getting better, a lot of times we're thinking about development and them growing more styles and all of that. The thing is, V5 don't have to do that. The game time in this meta actually has gone down. Like there's actually less factors that they have to think about. They actually just need to focus on what they were so good at in summer, which is 15 minutes. Everyone go to the mid lane. Let's bust his turret down. Double tower for Herald. And let's just snowball the game from there. They were the best at doing that out of any of the LPL teams. And with the game time now hovering around like 28 minutes, they actually have less to worry about. So this is one of those rare situations where they don't have to diversify and they can just go all in.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to add to V5. I've not really spoken on them, but I think you guys nailed it, really. I don't think there's that much different aside from Lunching in the team. Yeah. So I agree.
He's gonna all just amend them, bring him up to 4.
I also have them in 7th. Like it all just sounded pretty reasonable. Okay, so I think that the next one on my list, at least in 6th place, is IG. I'm assuming yours are like fairly similar.
Excuse me.
I got him
4th. 3rd, 4th.
Go Ocean 4th.
Oh, so you guys are way rating them. What about you, Clement?
5th.
5th. Okay. So
who's got them the highest?
I don't want them to be. I have
Jordan and Dagda both have them
I'm
third.
just like, I don't want them there. They are there. All right. Like, I don't want this team to be fucking third.
No.
But every time it's just like, you know what? They're gonna fucking win a game anyway. And honestly, I think Shun is pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I don't know if he'll fit the team necessarily, because at least in LDL, like the IG youth played pretty heavily, like supporting him when he wants to go for invades or whatever he wants to do. I don't know. Oh, like you're not going to get that on actual IG, but still excited to see what he can do. But it's IG. Like at the end of the day, we all go, for fuck's sake, they're dicking about in the bot lane. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Ning's playing out his arse. Bellon shit the bed again. And then they win the game and just like, I don't know. It's IG. So that's why I have them third, because they're fucking IG.
Yeah, I think for me, like, no matter what way I twisted this, no matter how much I put like they've, you know, their bot lane's a revolving door, like they haven't got a clue, like similar to Rob was saying, they haven't got a clue what they want to do with it yet. And then I just come back up and I look up and I see the Shy and Rookie, and I'm like, fuck. I have to put them higher. Like I have to, because it's the Shy and Rookie, and like I think the Shy and Rookie, like even regardless of metas, which again, like, you know, I similar like think that IG's Worlds win, where like, you know, Baolan looked amazing, and like obviously they had Jacket Love back then as well, and I think the meta just like kind of like hit a beautiful sweet spot for them, and they just really complemented their style of play. But even since then, Rookie has consistently shown that he is one of the best mid laners in the world, like let alone in the LPL. The Shy, yes, he's run it down, but you always have to fear him because he limit tests like crazy, and like it's like, oh, he's not going to win this. Never mind, he got 2 kills, the lane's over, the game's over. Like there's nothing you can do. So like I had to put them top 4 for me. And also just because of the consistency in regular season. If you look at their track record, they're always like really high up there in terms of their regular season, so I just kind of had to give it to them.
So I'll kind of go off some of the other players, because that's actually why I rank them so highly. Is I expect their bot lane to be Wink and Lucas, and I think keeping Lucas in the roster over Balin, I hope they do it, but if they run Balin, I won't be too surprised, because IG. I think running Lucas with Shun is a good idea, because as Rob pointed out, IG Young did play heavily around Shun, so I think kind of keeping that support jungle dynamics good. I think Shun is Lucas is a good laner. He plays everything, guys. This guy's like pulling out Taric, Lux, Nautilus, Bard. Like this guy plays absolutely anything. Can play both styles. Can like sit in lane with the mages, be lane dominant. Can be a main initiator for the team. And the most exciting thing is, honestly, I thought Wink was super overrated by some LPL fans. You know, in summer, I don't rate him like. I don't think he's like a top 380 carry in the LPL. I think he's good. I think he's especially good in lane, which will be good for IG. He's, you know, a pretty good team fighter as well, but he's not, I don't think he's, again, like insane. Point is, I hear he's a shot caller. And I think that's something IG need desperately, because when I heard about these changes with like Shun coming in, and again, this guy's insane, mechanically good. We saw in Demacia Championship, very aggressive player as well. It's like, okay, but who's going to be the voice? Apparently Wink is very strong in communication. Like, is that kind of like Uzi-esque, kind of demands things like around him and tells other people what to do. And I think that could be very good for IG. And if the Shy is playing well, you now also have 3 winning lanes, where we talked about, hey, Wink's good in lane, Lucas is good in lane. We know Rookie's going to be smashing everyone. The only question mark with this team, in my opinion, is the Shy. And how long will it take for Shun to kind of adapt? Because we saw at the Demacia Championship, he's not exactly there yet in terms of like being a top LPL jungler. But yeah, I think this team, the trajectory is like amazing. Like with time, this team will be so scary.
I kind of want to bounce off of that slightly. You mentioned the Shy as the big question mark, and I think there's like there's a tendency for everyone to go, oh, it's the Shy, he's just the best, end of conversation, blah blah blah. But I feel like in the last year he fell off a lot from like the expectation.
He was shit this year.
The expectation is always that like he's kind of a bit of a coin flip player, but when he wins, he really fucking wins, right? But he even had games where he was winning lane and didn't really impact the game outside of the lane. Like I feel like the Shy was incredibly underwhelming this year for me. And then obviously had a lot of games where he just completely ran it. Like, I mean, he played... I don't know if anyone remembers the Kennen game.
He was smiling while he was
fire.
doing
Yeah, I
it,
know, yeah. Like,
which is really interesting.
there is obviously... I don't think he's not going to take it seriously. There was the interview where he was like, I'm going to play another season so I can do it for Rookie and get Rookie another championship, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all very touching and everything. But look at the top lane talent in the LPL right now. Like, Breathe is leveling up. I think Breathe is going to be one of the best top laners this year. Like, we've got 369, we've got Bin, like Nuguri as well moving in. Like, the Shy doesn't just get to be the Shy anymore and be the top lane god by default. Like, if he fucks around, he's going to get smacked. So for that reason, I really can't just overrate this team anymore. And Shun is this exceptionally aggressive jungler that is going to need support from his lanes to be able to play the style that Shun plays. If the Shy is getting fucking spanked in the top lane every game, then Shun doesn't get to do Shun things, which then shuts down two of the big win conditions of this team. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm still putting them 6th, right? I'm still putting them in playoffs and everything.
Yeah.
But I do not have this like blind faith in IG that I think a lot of fans have, and I've completely lost faith in the Shy at this point, unless he proves something different in spring. Rookie's a god! Dude, I predicted Rookie in regionals. I didn't predict IG, I predicted Rookie. I believe in Rookie,
true.
but what we have seen is that the Shy's negatives outweigh Rookie's positives. Regional playoffs proved that.
I agree with you that way, but like what I see is like, even though I would look at like kind of like majority of what you said and all the different top lane talent, I still think the Shy can beat and is very within his wheelhouse to beat every single top laner in the LPL. I still think it's very, very, very plausible that the mid and top laner all pro team at the end of spring is the Shy and Rookie, because that's just the kind of thing it is. And yes, like, there is amazing top lane talent, and I completely agree with you there, but like, I still think the Shy is just one of those people that like he makes magic happen. Where I'm blind fate, because it has to be, and that's unfortunately what you have to do sometimes when you're a fan of something.
I don't think it has to be blind, because again, this team finished 1st in the regular split in spring, 3rd in summer, and they've only upgraded, in my opinion, all 3 roles. They've upgraded all 3 roles. So.
I think just like Jordan was saying there, like even with the Shy literally running it, they still came out with wins. Like, so like that's just how good some of these players are. And that was with, as Jordan just said, a subpar bot lane.
I'm still putting them 6th, but I don't have the same faith as you.
Let's make one thing clear. Is that in summer, when the all LPL teams came out and the Shy got best top laner, that was a crime. Whoever did that, look in the mirror. Second of all,
that was a fan vote.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everyone should be looking in the mirror.
Look in the mirror, literally everyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for an expense. You're putting mirrors in people's houses.
Look in the mirror.
The thing is, like, it's crazy when the Shy runs it down, and he has I think one of his worst years, because 2018 was by far one of his best years. Clement, do you remember 2019 spring when I came into the LPL? That split was insane for the Shy, and Rookie too was also great. They were the best solo laners in, like, easily. They were top in their role. The Shy had a great 2019. This year was his worst, and it was really
liquid.
Sad to see.
NA is the best.
But the thing is, like, even when the Shy has a horrible time, like in the top tier of top laners, I'm still like, is he 4th or 5th? In current form, he's still there. Even though he makes a lot of mistakes, he technically shouldn't be, but there's always this doubting thought. And you're right. Munchables talking about like the Shy, his performance, and like, there are other top laners to overtake him. And I think that's the biggest thing. This year's going to be massive for him. It's either going to be a massive flop or whatever. And I honestly think the Shy for me is the biggest factor, even though Balan and Puff and, Puff and Southwind, the bottom lane was such this, kind of poor factor for IG. I honestly think that this is the only team in the LPL that someone could rate 3rd and have a good conscience and say that's probably okay, and then put them 10th, and that'd be excusable as well. This is the biggest variable of a team, and a lot of the time I think, is the Shy going to be the biggest variable within IG? And I think yes. I think the Shy can put this team to like
the Shy or the shit. That's what you got to see what you get.
There we go. The Shy to a T, as I like to say.
He said,
I just have some bad news for you. This is what's going to happen. The Shy is going to play even crazier than before. And the reason why is because the pieces that are rotating in to help him are going to be that much better. They're going to enable him. So he is actually going to play even crazier than before. Because
I can't wait.
when he was playing in summer, he was playing crazy. The pieces that were going up to help him were Balan and Ning. That doesn't exactly make a 3-man group that's envious. Now he's going to have Shun and he's going to have Lucas. So he's actually going to play even crazier than before. And that's why I have them 5th. Because I actually think in regular split, they could hit as high as 2nd.
Yeah.
But when it comes to playoff, that's going to come back and bite them in the ass. And they're going to drop down to 5th.
And then we'll have Imperial Mandate Ash mid, and it's all going to go great.
0-10, baby.
Before we move on. Sorry, go.
Rest in peace to my boy Ning. Fuck all of you. Ning is awesome.
Ning was
the problem
was good
was
towards
IG's
the end.
bot lane. The problem was IG's bot lane.
Yeah.
Ning got scapegoated.
I cannot wait. Hang on. I cannot wait for
Did
Lyrics
you see
super
the
team
Ning
that comes
jungler
out.
video? Oh my god, man! You can't defend that shit.
I can't wait.
Did
for
you see that?
Yeah, I think we all saw that. I can't wait for the Lyrics super team to come out where it's like Xiaohu mid, it's Ning in the jungle, it's Mole, Nico
Xiaohu.
80 carry, and like some other
Let's
bullshit
go.
somewhere else.
So I just wanted to ask before we move on to any other teams and like just kind of discuss it very quickly. I'm the BLG fanboy. Jordan's the Victory 5 fanboy. Munch is the Suning fanboy. Hysterics is the IG fanboy. What about Robin and Clement?
I'm
Who are they?
JDG. I'm
JDG fanboy. Clement,
Yeah.
who are you a
Okay,
fanboy?
I'll be honest. This is so weird to say, but I'm actually an EDG fanboy because I love Flandre, man. Flandre is fun to watch. He's one of my favorite top laners. He's so wonky. Like he wins lanes on a lot of picks that are not supposed to win lane. Like he wins lane on
He's a great
Akali
top
and,
laner. He's a great top laner.
and Vladimir, and then in team fights he's actually really explosive. So
I'll always remember-
very rare to find a top laner that's good in lane and good in team fights at the same time.
I'll always remember LNG versus I think it was IG playoff summer 2019, and he played the Akali, and he just like his team was not letting him win, but he was popping the absolute fuck off. Like
I gotta go back to mine. I'm a JDG guy, and I was a Shie guy. So now it's just sandwiched together. So this has worked out great for me.
This is for you, Rob.
Yeah,
for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I unplugged my headset, but I can keep talking. I was a big fan of JDG from the spring split last year, and I thought they did really, really well. And then looking towards summer, they started to do great, obviously, as well. Like, I love Lumel. I think Lumel is just so much fun to watch. I love the Bard picks. I love how aggressive he is. I think Zoom is super interesting to watch as well. Just his ability to find these really clever engages are so much fun to watch. And then from Shie's perspective as well, like when he was on LGD, Shie was the guy that I was always watching to see like what could he do, and he had these massive pop-offs where like he got like those. What was it against? I can't remember.
About the Cassiopeia 3-man ult.
No, it was
That
the
was
Silas, the Silas, and yes, that was sick. But the Silas and Baron Pit in playoffs, which was against, I can't remember. But anyway, he got these, yeah, really, really cool plays. I love watching him. I think he's like somebody kind of like on average plays just like on a regular day will play slightly above average, but when he has these moments, he is so good and so much fun to watch. Kind of similar like to what the highs you get with Rookie, but not quite there. And I just love. I think it's so exciting to watch, and that's why I'm such a big fan of these two teams. Is like I think you've got some really cool mechanical players that have these massive highs when they hit them.
Do you want to talk about JDG then?
So hang on, let's
about-
before we jump into JDG, let's just very quickly everyone say their top 4 because we're getting to the point where we're just talking through the top 4 anyway. So let's everyone just put our shit on the table. So my top 4, Rare Atom, WE, Top Esports, and then JDG first.
What?
There we go. Like I said, I'm putting it on the table. All right.
Let's go.
Go Jordan, go.
Jordan.
EDG 4, IG 3rd, JDG 2nd, Top Esports champion.
Okay.
Clement.
Clement.
Okay, so this is super weird, but I have EDG 4th. I went out on a limb on FPX 3rd, JDG 2nd, Top Esports 1st.
What about though?
V5 4th, IG 3rd, Top Esports 2nd, JDG 1st.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
My guy.
Jake.
Is it me? IG 4th, good on them. WE 3rd, JDG 2nd, and Top Esports 1st.
Literally copy paste what he just said for me.
This is fun though. We actually have a decent spread in the top 4, which is like I feel like the last couple of splits has not really been that
so
doable.
like I think like this is something that Jordan I'm sure but like I've said a million times, like there has been a definitive top 2 in LPL in 2020, 1,000,000%. It was JDG and it was top esports, and then there was a gap.
But we've
everybody
agreed
else
with that
below
this
them.
time. We've
Yeah,
all said JDG
yeah.
top in the top 2. I
Yeah.
think you.
So
Did anyone else
I
say?
think
Me and Rob said JDG. Did anyone else say JDG?
for first, no. Everyone else at top esports.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're all agreed in the top 2, and we can go and talk about JDG and top last, I guess, and just say why they're so good.
Because they're boring. They're boring. We all know they're the best.
I mean,
they have too much money.
did you guys want to do the JDG conversation because Rob kind of started that, or do you want to go through the rest of the
let's
teams
just-
first?
I think we need to do WE first, right? Because WE is the one
Yeah.
that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah,
I adore this roster. I adore it. I think no, don't get me wrong. I didn't put them top 2 because I don't believe they're top 2. I put them third. I think Joe, you put them second, didn't you?
I wanted to put them first, but I put them third because I thought it through.
Oh, you put them third. Oh, you put them third.
I just want to
thought
say
you put
there
them
is
second.
video footage of me stroking a picture of WE, so just like bear everything I say about WE in context.
Yeah. Honestly, like I am excited for this team. Like I don't think I've been as genuinely I've had friends of mine come to me and be like, "Oh, so LPL's kind of a thing. Like, who should I follow?" I'm like, WE. It's like, just follow WE. And they're just like, why? It's like, it's just an exciting team. There's just so much that you can love about this team. Fair enough. I will take the bot lane and kind of say that Jomong is at best.
So much better. Don't hurt him. He's
John,
just
really
running
good.
out 80 carry.
Yeah.
I do
So
not
much
believe he
better
is. I do not believe he is. I will come out and say that I do not believe that he is. However,
Don't worry, we have
However-
3 months to teach you otherwise. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
Kind of
What do you
agree.
got? I'm gonna be
Oshin,
living
kind
with
of agree, kind of
yeah,
agree.
I'm gonna be living with Jordan.
I'm
I'm gonna
with
be
you.
corrupted. But yeah, no, like Breathe, aka Curse, like looked in. I feel like I'm drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid from Demacia Cup or Demacia
No,
Championship.
he's
Like
top 5.
he-
Top 5.
top 5 in the role, easy. Beishang, top 3 jungler in my opinion. Like I genuinely believe it.
Top one,
Missing
baby.
is insane as a support, as an engaged support. The meta fits him perfectly right now. And then you've got Shanks and Teachama, who Shanks didn't look bad, and Teachama's got like a couple of like pocket picks in there. So like honestly, this team is just fun, exciting, and like everything about this just makes me go. Like if I'm given the schedule by the almighty caster leader and he goes, Oshin casting WE, I'm like, yes. Fuck yes. I'm just excited because there's so much to talk about on this team. And I genuinely believe that they've just gone from strength to strength to strength. And as me and Clement were talking about during Demacia Championship, they've gone with the organic. We're going to pick out what we want, what we don't like. We're going to develop it. We're going to grow it organically. It's not just let's just grab the most money you can buy. That's which a lot of teams do. So honestly, I think Team WE top 3. I would be surprised as hell if they don't even make a top 4. Like if they're in 5th or 6th, I'll be so upset.
I want to bounce off of that because I echo a lot of those sentiments, and most importantly, the idea of like who's good in LPL this year. Like everyone that's asked me that on Twitter, I've said WE. I'm so fucking hyped for this team, and the reason for that is because we've already talked about Missing, we've talked about Beisheng, we've talked about Jomong. How like the storyline of Jomong was like, he's probably gonna in, so let's all play around bot lane so he can't in, and then if we get him fed, he'll be really good, right? I feel like that's less of a factor. He ints way less than he used to. I feel like he's got better over the course of 2020, which Clement clearly doesn't agree with. But when you look at the top lane and the mid lane, despite the fact that they were my favorite WE players, they were the weakest links in WE, right? Morgan and Teachama were comfortably the worst laners. Which is why the style of just play around the bot lane and just play for these skirmishes and team fights became the style, because clearly winning through lanes wasn't going to work out, right? They've just replaced them. So Breathe comes in, one of my favorite top laners in 2020, coming from OMG. He was pretty much the only good thing about OMG. He was the thing that was really exciting about that team. And now he's on a team with some really good talent. It offers Beisheng another lane to play around. And then the big question mark for this team is Shanks, right? Can Shanks step up? Because Shanks came in fairly hyped from the LDL. So far, the stuff that I've seen from him in the small amounts, I think we saw him like once or twice in summer, and we saw him in Demacia Cup.
We didn't see him at all.
It's
I don't think we saw Shanks at all during regular season. It was just Demacia Cup, for
Was it
context.
just-
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just Demacia. That was his debut. Remember, because there's a lot of hype, and we're like,
it
when's
was
he coming
NES,
in?
yeah, I saw him in NEST as well. I knew I'd seen him.
True.
That's
Yeah,
where I'm
yeah,
getting
he-
confused. Kind of underwhelming so far, but in my eyes, very very untested. So that's kind of a question mark.
Didn't look bad.
But
I
the
will
rest
say,
of the
didn't look
pieces
bad.
around the map, I'm super excited for. I think that this is going to be an exceptional team. If Shanks can step up, I think this could be a top 2 team.
I'll just go quickly because I don't have much opinions that you guys have already said. Like, I think this team's kind of very cut and dry. I have them 5th, and the reason why I don't have them highly, I think Shanks is mediocre at best right now. I don't think he's going to get good this year. Like, I don't know. And you can't be a top team in the LPL, in my opinion, without either a good mid laner or a mid laner who can clearly enable their jungle the right way. And from what we've seen from Shanks so far, he is neither of those right now. So they'll be top 5, top 6. Their talent's good, but yep, that's you guys pretty much said all the talking points on W that I agree with.
Yeah, I'm the exact same as Jordan. I literally have them 5th as well. The brakes are on them for me because of Shanks. I don't see him improving as much as he needs to. And like, at least with Teacher Ma, as Jordan kind of alluded to, like, he could feed into, okay, we're playing that support the Beishang style. I don't know if Shanks is going to bring that, but if he can improve and can get excited, yeah, I definitely think they're going to be a top 4. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I have them probably the lowest out of the bunch. I have them 7th, and the reason's pretty simple. If you look at their carries, Shanks and Jomong, I actually don't rank that high. I think they're average at best. And about the Jomong point, he's going to look very good because he's going to be the go-to option for resources when he's playing with Teacher Ma and Morgan. And neither of those 2 players ask for anything.
Yeah.
But now that he's playing with Breathe and Shanks, you can see his damage share take a massive tumble. I think he's like 3rd best damage dealer on his team coming in from Demacia Cup, like even below Beishang. And in terms of positioning, I don't think he holds up the hyper carry bargain whatsoever. So you're really looking at a team that is going to focus mainly on topside, and it's going to be a very, very strong 3-man group for sure. Missing Beishang, Breathe, that is going to be absolute killer. But the rest of the map, when it comes to team fights, when it comes to laning phase, they're not going to be holding up against the top, like the upper echelon of the teams. And I think that's why I have them just like in playoff range, but not really a contender.
I also want to add, I actually don't expect them to play towards top side. And me and you actually talked about this before when we did that other stream, where I think WE will come off the ground running and will kind of taper off as the split goes, because I think stylistically they will play the same way that they did before. And okay, even though Shanks doesn't support Beishang the same way, and even though Breathe does want resources, they're still both mechanical upgrades over the other 2. And I think early in the split that'll be enough to get by. But yeah, I kind of agree with what Clement's saying. I've never been too high on Jomong. I think Jomong goes back to an earlier argument I said where, big, like Oshin said, big fish in a small pond. Like, LPL 80 carries weren't that good in 2020, so Jomong was fine. But I don't know if he can keep getting away with that. I still think he's like fine, but I don't think he's a superstar.
I think the only thing that's stopping me from putting them into top 2 is like you need 4.5 top players on your squad in LPL to be considered a top 2 team, in my opinion. And WE don't have that. They have 3.5, maybe 4. We still have yet to see a lot from Shanks, and I think there's definitely room to grow for him. I just think that Jomong's just not that. And I think that, unfortunately, you need 4.5. You're just going to come up short every time. So I do believe that Shanks can get a lot better. And I think that, given how the meta is right now for Beishang and how good there's, kind of their 3-man squad of missing Beishang and Breathe is, it's just very hard for me to kind of, unbelievably, like, blindly just go, yeah, they'll be better than top esports or JDG, because, like,
But
I just can't see it.
Still good.
Yeah, still good. Still great.
You know what, for me, for the defining factor for putting them 3rd, I would have IG or FPX here. But IG and FPX are such like question marks as to how do key member changes like change their position, and how does it change the team dynamic. I think WE has more they've got more stability in the roster. They've got upgrades because Morgan was meant to be great. Morgan sucked last year. I'm sorry, he was a very weak point. Morgan sucked.
Morgan was the best player in the league, and I won't hear anything else. Okay,
I don't care if he's attractive.
Well, the thing is, I want to know how you think WE has less like question marks in terms of like play style than like IG would, because Teacher Ma was such a big. I think both, even Morgan. I think both were such a defining part in how they played. And again, it was off the back of their weakness, but like
Morgan's entire style was like sacrifice lane to TP and save the game, right?
Breathe and Shakes play so different. So
he was so bad on Ornn, which is so weird.
I guess my question is like, how does WE not fall into that style? What's the
Yeah.
easy style that you see WE pulling off?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to pretend like I'm
Shanks
going to
gonna
know
learn
the style, and
Galio.
I'm going to put the. I'm
Well,
not
no,
going to put
mean,
the pieces together,
you're not
right?
gonna know, but what is it you're imagining where they're gonna?
I mean, I'm
What's the
imagining that
ideal-
like
ideal world?
like do I imagine that like mid's not going to be a weakness and it's not going to be covered up? Like Shanks is not going to become a teacher ma, right? And it's not going to be like, okay, let's send elements bot. Let's like control our objectives on one part of the map. Sorry, their positioning on one part of the map. I think that like looking at WE, I say, well, John Mungan and Missing have improved like very, very well. Like what we saw for WE during playoffs is in the laning phase, like they were getting 2v2 solo kills, which was like their laning phase had improved a hell of a lot from some of the playoffs, especially too. I think Breathe is a great like solo top laner. Again, I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to imagine and understand like how their playstyle is going to adapt, but I will say that I think the players individually, their performance right now is their floor is a lot more stable than say other individuals in teams like FPX and IG. So for me, WE look like a team that where Shanks is the biggest variable and the biggest liability, where every other position can cover that because of either their development with people like John Mung or their continued ability to not adapt, but to improve, I guess, overall in the LPL.
I want to just add on to that. Like, I agree fundamentally with your big questions of WE, Jordan, but ultimately, like when we talk about the issues of mid lane with Shanks, like he is just straight up an upgrade to Teachmar in my eyes, right? He can also play Galio, so he has all of the strengths of Teachmar, right? It's as simple as that.
Oh, one of them.
Like, so
does he play Nocturne mid? No good.
As far as I'm concerned, no, Teachmar can't fucking play Karma. He did play Karma, but he can't.
Teachmar play.
So, like,
overall,
fundamentally, unless he struggles with Nocturne mid, like there are no advantages to Teachmar over Shanks. So even if Shanks is underwhelming, it's still going to be like a much better situation for them. He can still play the Teachmar style if he needs to. Like anyone, I could play the Teachmar style. It's just lose lane and all bot.
I actually don't agree with that. I don't think it's that easy for a player to just kind of adjust to playing so selflessly. And I'm not saying that Shanks can't. Maybe he could, but I don't think it's like hard set. Shanks can definitely do what Teacher Mod did because, again, I think we see a lot of players struggle with playing that style.
It's
again,
very
I also
I think Zika will struggle with that.
I was gonna say on top of that, that's also like giving Shanks that caveat and saying he can totally do that is kind of the same as saying, well, why can't the Shy? Why can't he go back to? And we've seen the Shy do it. You know what I mean? Like if you're not going to
the
give
Shy
the
could,
excuse,
he just doesn't want
no, that's my point.
That's
if you're
a
not
fresh
going
slate versus
if you're not going to give the leeway to someone who has proven that they can reach those heights, then you can't really give the leeway to someone who hasn't shown us anything really. You can be optimistic.
I think that's a totally different conversation. It's not that I don't believe the Shy could get better. It's that the Shy is a whole different. You don't believe he will. We already talked about that.
I want to sort of round out this conversation by saying that I think a lot of us have WE moving forward because agreeably their talent
100%.
has gone up. 100% their talent has been an upgrade.
Absolutely.
However, if you look at the top 8 teams in the LPL, they've all got upgrades. And some of these upgrades are massive. And a lot of them outweigh what WE has upgraded in themselves. So I think that's the bottom line. They're a better team.
Yep.
They can do more things. However, the rest of the LPL has gotten bigger, shinier weapons.
The LPL is so stacked.
Third through fifth, guys. Third
through
fifth.
They're
We're not ranking them low.
We're not saying they're a round one playoff team. I think is the biggest part, right? If we're talking fifth, we're saying they're quarterfinals or better, which is like WE for the 2020. Yeah, I mean, your potential for Worlds if this continues the summer. WE are a team that aren't gonna, sit in that round one, and we're like, oh, they're gonna make it through, but then the barrier of like a top esports or depending on like the Suning or who was it who knocked them out because they beat E-Star.
LGD knocked them out.
LGD,
it's highly likely that the same LGD would knock them out again.
Well, this is kind of Teacher might die for this, but like I think. Sorry, go on, Shane. Finish your point. Finish your point.
Oh, Shane. Oh, thank you. The thing about WE, I want to round out like my point into putting them top 3. Is the fact that like I really get excited for LPL teams that show development and like build upon their roster. I think this was what Munchables or Asheen were talking about, where you know, like
was
they've
Asheen,
built on this roster. They haven't just pulled in the experience, you know, the 5-star players. Like they've pulled out Breathe, previously known as Curse from OMG, who was showing really good signs of life, and a team that needed CPR. That unfortunately the medics were like 5 kilometers away and weren't going to get there in time because OMG sucked. And so the thing is, like, this WE has developed Bei Shang into a top tier jungler. Joel Mung, you can argue that he's not, you know, like a top tier 80 carry, but you can still say he's an 80 carry that's gotten better over the course of 2020. He should be in everyone's top 8. He's in my top 5 at the very least because of how he's developed. And Clement, don't smile. And Missing is a top 3 support in 2020. Missing was consistent.
I think when you start
fuck.
putting someone in top 8, it almost doesn't matter anymore. It's like, oh, he's top 8.
He's better
We
than
have 17
Shubin.
teams.
That's all that matters. If
Top
he's
8.
better than Shubin, then we're developing. You know, then we're actually going somewhere. You know,
God,
that's
okay.
not a
poor
roast.
Shubin.
It's just
Poor
fact.
Shubin. I'm sorry,
If
bro.
he's
I'm
better than the
sorry.
worst support in the league, then
It's
he's
just next
pretty
time.
good.
Look, Shubin is out there somewhere trying to click on a Nexus, and he's gonna make you
Yeah,
sorry.
he will make you eat your words.
Yeah.
I think
God.
I think every single team, in my opinion, like in the top 10, have had really good improvements to their team and really good improvements to their roster. I still maintain that we're probably still looking at like a definitive top 2. Like we've all pretty much, like, in whatever order you want to put them in, of top esports and JDG. But I still think that the next 8 teams have gotten a little closer. You know, they've it's no longer this massive. Okay, bye, Jake.
Cheers,
It's
mate.
no longer this, like, cheers, everybody. I
I
guess.
cheers that point. I
Fucking-
think that's
fucking
sorry to
cheers.
interject. I wanted to cheers you because I think that's such a strong point, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone has developed. Everyone
I think
has
everyone has
upgraded. Sorry,
developed.
continue.
I just think that, like, when you're looking at LPL this year, like, I'm gonna actually call it like Formula One. Did anyone watch Formula One this year? No.
Nope.
No.
Great, fantastic. Okay,
We're
so
all under
basically
50, dude.
Yeah, I love Formula One. How fucking dare you? So in Formula One, you literally had Hamilton and Bottas. That was it. There was no one really else. You maybe had like one other person in third place, maybe going for it, but it wasn't really that big of a thing. And then the middle of pack was just like every other week people were swapping. And that's what I feel like LPL is going to be this year. I think it's going to be like very clearly JDG, top esports. Yeah, they'll swap positions themselves. Like they'll do their own bloody thing. But then like 3rd to like 10th, it's going to be all like, oh, they were 10th. Then 2 days later, because we're 7 days a fucking week, they're now in bloody 3rd. Like it's going to be one of those years where like you're almost going to not be able to like miss games. You know what I mean? Where like, it's like, oh, I don't want to watch top esports versus TT. That's not going to be fun. I do want to watch WE versus IG though. That's what I
wanna
feel
say
like it's going to be.
I am so hyped for playoffs because honestly, our
Oh, it's
playoffs
gonna
in
be
summer
great.
was
Yeah.
hot
Just-
garbage. The lower side of the bracket, WE, LGD, IG, was
Yeah.
terrible.
It was so
That was
fun.
actually very painful to watch, and I'm
was
very hopeful. I'm very thankful. But this split, we are definitely not going to get that sort of a bifurcation between the brackets
Mhm.
and just having like kind of a lame duck session throughout the first
fact
2
that
weeks.
LGD went to Worlds again is a fucking
Is a travesty.
dude. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Teacher
So-
died
yeah,
for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I want to move the conversation on because we're well beyond the 2-hour mark at this point. So let's talk about our top 2 teams. We're
They're good.
split. There's 4
Yeah,
people
what a
saying top
surprise.
esports for the number 1, and there's me and Dagda saying JDG for the number 1. I think that
You guys should start.
yeah, sure,
guys
we
should
can
start,
go
though.
if
Because you know why I'm saying you should start? Because with JDG, like there's roster changes, but it's still like I don't know. You start. You start.
here's why I think you should start. Begins the conversation.
And I'm like, wait, there's arguments for both sides, but you start. Never mind.
All right, I'll go first, Rob, if that's okay, because you probably
Yeah, go
have
first.
more and better things to say than I do, as the more intelligent man and more beautiful man.
Just shucks.
Hey, look,
Decent already.
chat has spent the
Got it,
entire
yeah.
episode complimenting you, so
I think it was just 2 lads I know, but yeah. Anyway,
okay. So obviously, this team was exceptional last year. Like, it goes without saying, like, Zoom is an incredible top laner. You got Kanavi, who's an incredible jungler, and then Lumao, I think, is. Well, at least in my opinion, he is the best support in the league. I don't think anyone else can really match him, to be quite honest. I think there's a couple of names that are in the conversation, but realistically, I think it's a difficult argument to make that he's not the best support in the league. And I actually think, especially with like top esports changing supports to a brand new rookie as well, like suddenly that opens up a huge vacuum in the support role that I think Lumao is going to just be king of. And then you got Xie coming in over Yagao. I think that Yagao was fine, but I don't think Yagao was ever like particularly exceptional. I think Xie has much more potential to be an extremely good carry as opposed to just like kind of filling the role like Yagao. And then Mystic over Loken. Honestly, that one's kind of up in the air for me. I don't really know how well Mystic will perform. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched 100 Mystic VODs over 2020. But
I think I just even to add more power to your point, I think Mystic's much better, like a lot better.
His
in my
summer wasn't
personal
great.
opinion.
His summer wasn't as great, but his spring into the LCK was great. And 2019, I was still a big fan of Mystic because he is a father and also a great player.
wife buff.
In that order.
Yeah.
In that order.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things, right? So as far as I can establish, he's probably an upgrade. Like I said, I've not like gone super in depth on researching how much of an upgrade he is, but fundamentally, it seems like the two changes that have been made, first off, seem like upgrades, but second off, are always reversible. The other two players are still on the roster. They have lost nothing. This is a pure positive in terms of roster changes for JDG. If it all goes wrong, they can just go back to the version that won them spring and took them 2 games in the summer finals as well. Like, they kind of didn't perform at Worlds. Like, clearly something went wrong there. I don't quite know what, but I don't think that that is enough to take this team out of the conversation or to extrapolate too much from. I think they're going to come in incredibly strong. And I think Top Esports changing their support and Lu Mao still being in JDG should be the difference maker in terms of that top 2. And when Jackie Love struggles in lane, Jackie Love struggles for the rest of the game in what we've seen. So I believe that that is going to be the difference between JDG and Top Esports.
That's kind of a weird statement for me because I believe Top Esports actually upgraded in their support position. So
Yeah.
if anything, they actually got closer for me.
So
By a fucking ton.
yeah, so
Okay, yeah, fair
I just
enough.
want to nail the JDG point.
But I
before we
still
go on
think
to top,
Lumao is like
okay,
way,
sure.
way up here versus.
yeah. So
Yeah.
So for myself, I think Xie is a better Yagao. I mean, they still played a lot of the similar champions. Like we saw Xie playing a lot of Twisted Fate. We saw Yagao playing a lot of the same, a lot of the Zoe as well. And Xie can kind of play all these, but I think Xie has these higher highs that I think we're missing. Like Yagao had his moments, don't get me wrong. Like we've seen the Lucian play bot side that he played really well. And the difference that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, you know, Yagao very much played towards Kanavi, and this was the way that JDG liked to play. I mean, Xie was able to do the same with Peanut when they wanted to. It was more a case of like if Peanut was actually going to try and play that style. But certainly, like Xie had no problem like giving up waves so we could work with Peanut, so we could actually start to snowball the jungle. So I don't see that being an issue when he works with Kanavi. I think you've just opened up more champions and more playstyles having Xie in the roster. Because as I said, like he's capable of playing the likes of the Twisted Fate and the Zoes and these kind of things that we already saw, and even the Azirs that we saw from Yagao. But he's also got like really strong Siluses and Assassins and this kind of style that I think Xie brings as well. Then looking at the bot side, I think Mystic is a straight upgrade. Loken is a role player and does very well in working with Lu Mao and kind of allowing Lu Mao to go and do his thing. I think Mystic can do the same, but just better, and actually brings a level of carry performance that I think Loken didn't quite have. But I think that's why I'm excited. And I think from Top Esports perspective, I think Top Esports have definitely got an upgrade in Joel. But with how close these two teams were, I don't think the upgrade in Joel is as much for the two guys that have come in on JDG.
I didn't plan on saying too much here in this segment. I told you guys that I'm like talking about good teams, fucking boring, but they're like, I actually agree with like 99.9% of what you guys have said about JDG, right? I love Joe's point that at the end of the day, they lose nothing by bringing these two in because they don't have to run them. They can just run the same roster and everything's fine. But I think the one problem I have with JDG is I don't have faith in Xie working out on this team. I actually don't think Xie played well around Peanut. And there was one like funny thing I always remembered in summer that when I watched their games, because, you know, Xie played so many TF games, they're the only team that uses TF as like gank setup for mid lane with gold card rather than like the reverse way around of, TF enabling the jungler. Peanut would always come mid when Xie was on TF, and it always made me laugh. And I think we can even see, going back to his time on DMO, that him and Xiaopeng worked pretty atrociously. Even when Xiaopeng would try to funnel resources into mid, Xie wouldn't typically leave lane. And I kind of view Xie similarly to Forge in the sense that I think he thrives a lot in like he wants to trade heavily in lane. He wants to go for a lot of like chaotic skirmishes, stuff like this. And I don't think that fits JDG too well. So I don't have a lot of faith in it. I do think he plays more champions than Yagao, obviously. I don't think his individual skill is much worse, other than Yagao on champions like Zoe and LeBlanc, I think is like way better than Xie, honestly. It's just not even close. But yeah, Xie, I actually think they're going to step away from him halfway through summer. I don't think it'll work out. I do think bot lane is a big upgrade, but like Joe said, at the end of the day, they lose nothing. So I think this team is definitely going to get second, but I'll let everyone else explain why top esports is going to, be number one.
So I just want to. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to hype on that point. That's my potential worry for JD Gaming as well. Like if they stick to Yagao and Loken, I'm still pretty comfortable with just putting them second. But if they put up, for instance, like Xie and Loken, if Mystic has trouble starting early, then that team's not going to look very good. And I also want to mention that the team, if you have Xie and a Mystic on this team, they're not actually the JD Gaming that you know and love. They're actually much closer to 2017 WE, but with an upgraded supporting cast. That's the way you should think about the team and the way that they're actually going to function. They're going to be playing around bot lane much more heavily. They're not going to be as aggressive in terms of searching for team fight initiations. And they're going to be playing a slower base where they can play off the synergy of the two carries. And that's fine in a sense, but it also has this big lingering question, is that back in 2017, when they had that sort of a setup, Condi was the one that held most of the early game together. And Kanavi does not function the same way. Kanavi is actually someone that plays off of his strong lanes and then gets EXP leads off of them. So it's going to be a balancing act. And I think there is a good scenario and a bad scenario for JD Gaming. The best scenario for JD Gaming is that they can swap players and swap styles based on their matchup, the enemy team, what they're playing, the meta, and they can benefit off of all those qualities like the LeBlanc, the Zoe from Yagao, and the team fighting capability or the pop-off capability that Xie can kind of provide you. But at the worst part, they will be caught between two sort of modes where they're like hard engaged, scrappy, Yagao mode, and another mode that's kind of slower, that wants Kanavi to make more sacrifices in the early game, that wants to play more towards team fights. They're going to be caught between those two. And looking at JDG's track record coming into splits, I actually think they're going to have a slow start, because this is not a cut and dried conversation where you can say, hey, I'm taking Yagao Loken or I'm taking Xie Mystic right off the go. There's going to be benefits to both sides, and it's going to be quite difficult. I think this is probably the most difficult job that Chasha actually has ever had in terms of coaching. Is if you look at Chasha, when he has options, he actually prefers to limit his options. He prefers to go with one set of players rather than balancing both. That's the same thing he did on Suning. That's the same thing he did on Flash Wolves. So
I just want to say your memory is exceptional.
Yeah. I want to hit him.
Yeah.
Man,
Chasha was very, very important on Suning because he was willing to fire Maple. So we have to remember that. If you look, no, that's true. But if you look at his history, Chasha is going to go with one set of players, and this is not an easy choice, honestly. And I just want to remind everyone how Xie got picked up. So Xie originally had another team. The other team left him out to dry, and on the very last day, JD Gaming picked him up. So Xie was not originally part of the plan. Okay,
it wasn't part of the master plan.
Yeah.
Sorry,
he wasn't
Rob,
actually part of the plan. He was on kind of the last second edition. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to struggle a bit, and then they're finally going to decide on a roster. But it's going to be a difficult choice.
So I think there's kind of two things I want to hit on there. One is with the Xie not playing heavily towards jungle. I think Xie did. I think the bigger issue with that in a lot of situations was Mark, because both on DMO and then coming in onto LGD as well, Mark wasn't really coming across, and you'd see a lot of times where Xie had started to shift. He was starting to move over towards the jungle, and Peanut well, whether he called or not, would often get caught out, and they're still in the numbers disadvantage because Mark wasn't actually catching up to the play in a lot of situations. So I suppose that's where my head's at for a lot of this, is that I think there's more to just, hey, Shie can't play towards jungle. I think there was more caveats to that. And then secondly, the part that I want to go towards is that, like, we talk a lot about, hey, look, Kanavi building these XP leads off of his jungle, and I know that is the meta, and that's not what I'm arguing against here. What I'm actually excited about is at the start of summer, when JDG were really struggling, we saw Kanavi bring out this Lee Sin and play super heavily through his laners, and that looks so good. Like, his Lee Sin, honestly, I believe is the best in the world. And seeing how well he could play through mid lane and get that mid lane snowballing, I felt like Liu Gao didn't have the super high to just snowball that lead and turn it into something. I think if we end up seeing some more of that Kanavi come out, and we've got someone like Shia in the mid lane, I think that's when JDG can really have these pop-off moments with such like sky-high potential in the mid lane.
I want to come in here because I've just been listening to you guys, and Clement especially, like, Clement, the point you raised kind of made me think back to, multiple players, and the prefix here is I don't understand a team environment. I've never been involved in coaching, and I think, people like Clement and Lyric especially, and even Dagda from some perspective will tell you about this better, but having a player and a difference of style to balance between, if it works. Like, I think a really good example was potentially Duke and the Shy for IG, where Duke would only come in once or twice where, the Shy was either having bad performances.
I wouldn't call that changes in style. I would call that disciplinary.
Yeah.
It's like, you are not to take Fiora.
An action reaction.
I know it's not, two sides of the same coin. It's actually quite different. But I just see, like, having Mystic behind Loken, both great AD carries. I see having Shie behind Yagao, both great mid laners, or at least, the better of mid laners. I see this as being a strength that can be honed, and is a waste if it's not honed and utilized by JDG, especially since all four of those players deserve starting positions, and them sharing roles is something that's just, I think, also just a little bit criminal. I would love to see the coaching staff really utilize, these great players. And second of all, as well, Mayo Ko Hong, this is natural. Important to note. People think I'm wearing lipstick, but thank you, Clement.
I thought you meant you're Chinese, and I was like,
come on, wrap it up.
Just to round it up before I hand it over to Asheen. These are talented players, and I think for JDG, like, this is a roster upgrade overall, because you're just adding more, like, volume to the roster, where you already had a great roster that was going to be second anyway. But if they can play between styles, then it's just going to be powerful. I just thought I'd add my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly round it off that, like, I think JDG have a lot of growing pains to go through, and we've seen them previously go through a lot of growing pains. So just to kind of echo Clement's point of, like, this isn't going to be a boom, clap, welcome back, JDG. It's going to be okay, let's figure stuff out, and let's, like, figure out where we're going from. But on the other side,
they're going to have tryouts for starts.
That's 100%.
That's what the first part of the split is going to be.
But on the other side, on top esports, you've just 100% upped your support game. That's all you've done. You've just said, cool, we got a better support and who works much better with Jackie Love and much better with our jungler. So I don't see a problem with this. I just like, it's just straight up upgrade, straight up. Like, even if they, like, yes, I agree with you that they've lost nothing in terms of JDG. I just see that the lack of, like, Yuyanja isn't, like, at any way a negative.
Agreed. Yuyanja run it at will. Nobody's going to argue at that point. That's not something.
That's all we got to really say, though. Really about
still worse than Lure Mao, though. Sorry, go on.
Top esports ceiling was also just always higher. Like, let's see. Be real.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because that summer final should have been a 3-1 for TES, and it's funny since it did go to that game 5. I don't know if you guys remember, but that game 5 was where JDG got like a 4K gold leaded through.
Yep.
But it should have never gotten to that game 5.
Yep.
Top esports were, like, clearly the better team in that final. And it's just like, well, this team is just upgraded, and they just
it was
smashed
just a
Demacia
distinctly LPL final is what it was.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
So.
I want to mention why this support upgrade is so goddamn important, because Yuyanja was basically not capable of initiating, and that's the one thing that
he could barely play Braum.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
this is why it's so important, because when you have 3 winning lanes, you technically want to start fights as common as possible, as often as possible, and you want to snowball those leads. And what Top Esports was very infuriating to watch is that they actually had a lack of potential to take leads and then grow them. So a lot of times they would stick in lane. They had a very static sort of game style. And with Joel coming in already into Demacia Cup, we're watching him do far more initiations, play far faster than we've seen anything out of Yuanjia. So essentially, this team is going to be absolute dynamite. Their ceiling is the highest out of anyone. They've fixed their main issues. And another point I want to mention is Warhorse joining this team, because I think that absolutely deserves a mention. Because Warhorse I think he's a bit different from BSYY. For BSYY is, a lot of people really lauded him in the past about how he gets the team together, he gets them to communicate, he has a general strategy for the game plan. However, he often does lack specifics. BSYY is a coach that has been exploited a lot for his level 1s and for certain drafts. And I don't think Warhorse is going to come in with those type of weaknesses. Warhorse is, for me, a lot more methodical. And he's also going to push the range of Top Esports. And we've seen this already in Demacia Cup, where they were hard running one single composition. And this is what Warhorse loves to do. He loves to just drill down one composition until it's a science. Nobody can compete with him, force you to ban him, and then he diversifies into something else. So
Dude,
Top Esports is going to have a plan, and they're going to be able to snowball.
They lost one game in the entirety of Demacia Cup. Now, they didn't play groups, obviously, but they lost a game in 3 best-of-5s. And they played FBX, Rare Adam, who, is very controversial with how high and low you rate them, and they played Team WE, and they lost a game. So, it's just, they're just insane. There's nothing more really I can say about it. They're just nutty.
I'm just coming back. I just want to say, Joel looked great during Demacia Cup, if it hasn't already been covered. Sorry, I had to really pee.
That's okay.
But
it's a natural
Top Esports, there's a gap this time. Last time it was like Top Esports, JDG. Well, there's a clear... I feel like there's a Top Esports gap, JDG. I think Top Esports are above the league in so many different ways. Draw is the missing piece of the puzzle. Every player is either first or second in their role. And I expect Draw over spring and maybe summer to be...
Wait, you think Draw is
top 3.
2 in his role?
No. Sorry, every player, but that's what I'm saying. And then Draw will be...
Okay. There was definitely a miscommunication.
But I also haven't had that much.
I just want to say, I do think that there's a stretch with Caster as well. I think
Karsa is weird because Karsa plays so differently than every other jungler. It's it's so hard to rank him compared to the other junglers.
Right.
It's almost disingenuous.
But I would
is
say
literally the horse.
Let me just say, the style that Karsa plays is less how do I word this?
Karsa's
It's
style.
the less significantly impactful style than let's say Beishang or Kanavi, right? When Kanavi or Beishang has a significant impact on the game, it's super fucking obvious, right? Because they are individually carrying, whereas Karsa's a much more supportive jungler, so it's less obvious and outstanding when he is having a significant impact on the game.
But I feel like his job is harder though, because I feel like the amount of, not necessarily fires, but the way Karsa needs to play to cover all of his lanes kind of at similar times is much harder than, picking Graves and auto farming the enemy jungler. It's so, I don't know, man.
I'll put it this way, okay? Playing with 2 losing lanes is actually a lot easier than playing with 3 winning lanes.
I don't know.
True.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Because then you can play Graves and auto farm.
Okay. Sometimes you don't have to do anything about those losing lanes, but if you have 3 winning lanes all begging for attention, it's actually quite difficult. So a lot of times what Karsa has to do is he has to track the enemy jungler. That's why he's giving up farm.
Did Ning find difficulty in that? I know he's different.
If you're not the carry, it's harder. But if you're just playing Graves, that's fucking easy,
Yeah, I think Karsa's just Karsa's Karsa, and we said it in Demacia Championship and everything. He plays his style, and that's the end of it.
Also, best Top Esports player at Worlds, hands down. The guy.
Oh, not even a question. Not even a question.
So yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
the point is Jake didn't say that Joel is top 2. So everything.
So it's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
It's all okay,
the calls
guys.
fucking started.
I could definitely
Oh
see
my
an argument
God.
for Karsa being one of the top 2 junglers in the league. Like, there's definitely an argument, but whether or not that is a thing is a different conversation. But not for show. No.
Can I ask if Karsa becomes a world finalist, is he going to go to TSM too?
I hope so. Wait, no.
God, I
yeah.
hope
That'll be
so.
such a reunion. What a reunion.
Can we prevent that from happening? Oh my God. No.
This-
Everyone
I'm
goes
sure
to
there'll be
TSM.
international rules against that by then. Hopefully.
No, they'll change them so they can't
Hey,
they can actually have it.
I'm just saying, I was on World Finals, TSM.
Yes.
Just saying.
I just want to say, Jordan,
Yes,
TSM has a reputation of murdering coaches' careers, so maybe
Oh,
that's
geez.
not the correct choice.
Hey, Karsa's
He's
still
in the
there,
LPL,
okay?
It's already done for.
Look,
Guys.
I
I
want to
give
say
her a
that TSM
salary-
murders coaches, but they're also really loyal to those coaches. Those coaches are still there in different positions, okay? You know,
True,
Karsa's still there.
actually,
Okay?
true.
I'm an
I
OG
think
old
also.
school TSM fanboy, and even I know they're a Fortnite org. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there.
I'm actually friends with their original Fortnite manager, and he has a
Really?
Chipotle black card
it's
because
like
one of the Fortnite pros didn't want it. And it was great. I had free Chipotle every day for like 3 months.
That's
Moving
awesome.
on.
I'm not allowed to talk smack about Fortnite because my brother's a coach. So
I would say that's more reason to talk smack about.
True.
Fortnite.
Yeah, better
You're
say,
more
you probably should.
justified.
We are heading up
Fortnite,
to
lol.
2 3/4 hours on this podcast, so I think
Oh
it's
my
about time we
God.
wrap this up. I want to
Is
give
this your
everyone...
biggest episode?
Our longest episode was like 3.5 hours,
It
which
is-
was
it
with
is
Grabs and
the-
Peter
Ah.
done.
yeah, it is
Well,
definitely
let's
the
not
biggest
try and get
episode of season 2.
True. I will say though, it is also the shortest episode of season 2, so you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shit.
The wins with the dumb.
I do
Wins with
want
the
to.
loss.
I do want to give you guys an opportunity to say like one final statement about the LPL, and feel free to like give shout outs to what you guys are doing over the next year, channels to follow, etc., etc. So we'll just follow the clockwise formation we've been doing. So Jordan, do you want to head us off with like final statements and what's going on for you?
Final statement is B5 is fucking awesome. I don't care where you follow me. I don't do anything other than broadcast LPL. So just watch LPL. That's
Hell yeah.
it.
Clement.
Them all.
Guys, this is the most top heavy the LPL has ever been. We have 13 teams. All of them have a chance at playoffs. Not the bottom 4, I'm sorry about those, but all top 13 teams are absolute bang. They can beat any team any time of the day. So tune in. You're not going to be disappointed.
Dagda.
Well, obviously we're all casting LPL, so that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, in case that wasn't obvious.
Yeah.
We are.
I want to know. This has been something. Jordan, do you have a SoundCloud or something? Because you do a lot of music production.
Yeah.
And I'm actually curious if you can promote that because I want to know where I can listen to more of that.
Whoa. I do not have public music for these years.
Okay,
you gotta
never mind.
Join
his
our
own
private
file.
Discord
He
chat, and
posted
you
on
can hear
Twitter.
some of the.
Yeah.
Once a month,
Give
Jordan
it
posted on
Discord.
Twitter.
Yeah. All right. Well, then just follow me on Discord. All right, Discord on Twitter, Dagda, and yeah, that's kind of the extent.
Twitch Prime.
Yeah.
This channel's not even affiliate, so
Yeah, we can't even.
go give
Fuzzy
Twitch Prime to
Panko.
Ender or someone, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hysterics.
This team works so hard. It's a 7-day broadcast week. If these guys are not at Worlds, I will cry. They deserve it. That's it.
And vice versa.
Aw.
Vice versa. Yeah.
Aw.
Guy.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't want to say it, but like Jordan, thank you.
All right.
Jordan
Yeah.
and Clement are just saying that because they were already at Worlds. That's why.
True.
I don't think translating counts, though.
Nah,
Hey,
it
hey,
does-
you're
it does-
Clement's copy pastor is translator, host, analyst, caster, friend, father, husband. All
Magician.
this
He's
kind of
not a
Is there
father.
anything he cannot do?
He's a father. We are the children. We are under Clement.
He's my
Just
father.
Throw out when
emotionally.
someone's a
Have a
dad.
kid for
Like,
him.
All right.
Clement is my father. Go on.
Okay, moving on. Penguin, over to you.
super hyped for the year. Basically, that's all I gotta say. Very excited to work with everybody, and yeah, watch LPL because LCK's. No, actually, watch LCK as well because Chronicler's on it. I was gonna say it's boring as fuck, but now my boy's on it, so I gotta support it.
Whoa.
Listen, right. I love Chronicler. But LCK's always
Love
going
him
to be
to
boring
bits.
as fuck. They don't
It
like
is.
to fight. Yeah, fuck my career. We'll close out the show. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to follow everyone on Twitter. These guys are amazing. It is going to be 7 days a week of LPL every single day.
Yes.
There are games coming your way, so make sure to go follow LPL on Twitch as well, and LPL English on Twitter to get all of the updates and all that good stuff. This is the new home of Bevvies With The Boys, so please do click follow on this channel as well. It will no longer be on my channel. It will be on this channel, and we'll promote the new YouTube channel and stuff like that as well. Thank you so much for watching. And other than that, that's going to be it from us, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the LPL.
Yes, 7 days.
Let's go.
Catch you later, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.